Coming up on Real Life, an amazing family comes alive.
I can see, the ghosts of the kids running up and down here.
You may have read about them in Frank McCourt's Pulitzer Prize-winning book, Angela's Ashes.
Everybody's snotty-nosed, half the kids barefoot.
It's been on the bestseller list for over a year. Now, meet the four brothers themselves and share their stories of Ireland.
It's a strange place, a very strange place.
As seen through the eyes of the next generation.
When you look around at these buildings, you remember that we were barely surviving.
We were always hungry, and there was never enough. And you remember going to bed at night, and you'd be starving.
A funny and poignant reminiscence.
It was so dramatic. It was so profound.
A Cinemax real-life exclusive.
Will I ever get it out of my system? I don't think so. It was the biggest love affair of my life, Limerick.
The McCourts of Limerick. A film by Conor McCourt. Coming in March on St. Patrick's Day. Only on Cinemax.
I can remember how proud I used to be when Dad or Mother would buy new shoes for me. That's a feeling you've all had, how new shoes would make you glad, but the best thing you recall was when you had no shoes at all. Oh, barefoot days when we were just a couple of kids, bo-de-o-de-o-do. Barefoot days, oh boy, the things we did. We'd go down to a shady old nook, I with a bent pin for a hook. We'd fish all day, fish all night, but the darned old fish refused to bite. Then we'd slide down some old cellar door, bo-de-o-de-o-do. Slide and slide till our pants got torn. Then we'd have to go home, stay in our bed, till Mother got busy with the needle and thread. Oh boy, what joy we had in barefoot days. Bo-de-o-de-o-do.
My name is Malachi McCourt. From here on in, I'll be known as Frank McCourt's brother. But I'm also Mike McCourt's brother, and I'm Alfie McCourt's brother, Oliver McCourt's brother, Eugene McCourt's brother, Margaret Mary's McCourt's brother. That's a hard one to say. So there are four of us alive and 3 dead. So that's the score, 4-3. So we're winning for the moment.
Margaret died of bronchial pneumonia in the States. Oliver died of bronchial pneumonia here, but he was taken to the hospital. Eugene died in here of bronchial pneumonia. He was only, I think he wasn't even 2 yet. And the doctor said that it was pure ignorance. He shouldn't have died. None of the children should have died. To lose 3 children in practically in successive years was too much. My mother went into depression, and my father took to the bottle. The rest of us survived, and here we are to tell the story.
I've always made films since I was young. Since I was 7 years old, I did a film about my cat. And I won a small award of a box of cat food, you know, at the Cat Film Festival. But I've always
He's got your humor, Frank.
So they've always been storytellers, and it's easy. You go to the family, and at night they're telling stories, singing songs, and it was easy. You know, I went there, and I wanted to document all about the family. And I've been doing it for years, but I wanted to do a cohesive project that was interesting.
My father was Malachi, and he was from outside of Belfast. I don't remember him very well. I probably saw him 5 times in my whole life.
The last time I saw him was in maybe 1964. And of course, loony as he was, the first thing he said to me, do you go to Mass? And I said something like, you know, sure I do, just like you do, you know. But I couldn't believe it. The first thing out of his mind, he didn't even say, how are you? Or I said, who is this lunatic asking me, am I going to Mass every day or every Sunday?
He would pretend to punish us. He would go through elaborate procedures of rolling up our sleeves and then rolling up our trouser legs, and then he would go. And that would be the extent of the punishment. He never hit us.
The one thing that always sticks in my mind is, well, of course, all the other men around the area went off to England to work and go in the army and whatever else they did just to get money for employment. And it was usually around Christmas that I'll come home. And I remember my mother, Jesus, she would really, the one time she'd really sort of come alive and get the house all spick and span, because the guys usually arrived on the mail train, the last train at night. And you'd go up to meet the train late at night at the Limerick railway station, you know. And the thing that always sticks in my mind is going up to the railway station, and as each carriage emptied out, it slammed the door. And so there'd be about 20 carriages on the train. You'd hear them bang, bang, bang all down the line, and we'd see all these men getting off the train. All the doors of the trains would be opening up all the way down, and everybody jumping off, grabbing their kids. My mother would say, he's on the last carriage, you know, don't worry. So we'd wait there biting our nails and so on. He's got to be there. But the last carriage would slam, and that's it. And the old bastard wouldn't be there.
Whenever he did get money, he drank. And then it would all flow out of him. There were reams of poetry in the man's head. There were legions of songs dancing in his brain, just waiting for him to have the few drinks to let him out. There were the extraordinary recitations. He had an extraordinary memory. And the speeches, he remembered speeches, Irish patriotic speeches of people standing up, and he was always talking about how, the glories of dying for Ireland. And he was a great Irish patriot. And sad that he abandoned himself, really, abandoned us. And he rejected all the world and sought solace in the drink. And it never came to him.
And he got the Irish divorce, so he did.
What is the Irish divorce, Frank?
He disappeared, so he did.
And there we were left destitute and poverty-stricken, the poor mother not knowing which way to turn.
Sure, I love the dear silver that shines in your hair, and the brow that's all covered and wrinkled with care. I kiss the dear fingers so toil one for me. Oh, God bless you and keep you, Mother McCree.
Mother McCree, my arse.
He was buried in a country church outside of Belfast. I remember at the Mass, it seemed like the whole church got up to go to communion. The only two people who didn't get up to go to communion were Frank and myself. Here we were, the two sons home from America. We don't even have the decency to go up to communion, but we hadn't discussed it before. We just didn't do it.
I can't even say I hate him. I suppose the worst thing you can do to someone, not that you want to do it, I just have a complete kind of indifference about the whole thing. I was a little kid. I was wounded and pissed off about the whole thing. But the older I get, it just goes away. I'm sort of just indifferent to it now.
I have a memory of walking with him one day, and he told me that if we went across this field, over that ditch, this ditch here, across the field, over that other ditch, he said there's a magic well over there which has the sweetest and coolest water you will ever taste in your whole life. So he helped me over this ditch, over the other ditch, and over, and he brought me into the middle of this field, and he said, there it is. And there among these rushes was this clear well, and it was spring well, and he said, drink it. And I bent down, and I drank it, and I kind of slurped this water, and I thought, this water is magic. And like he said, it was magic. And then he said, isn't that great water? I said, it is the best water in the whole world. How did you find this place? He said, I know where magic is. So then he said, come on over here now. And we went over and we lay down under a tree. And then he began to tell me story after story. And then the sun started going down. He told me about the sun was going to bed now, and it was time for us to be on our way home. And we got up and we walked across the field, over the ditch, other field, over the ditch. And on the way home, the darkness was coming down, and it was all very strange. And he said, will I carry you? And I said, please, Daddy, do. And he lifted me up, and he carried me home. And then I went out to after he left, I went out to find that field, that well. And I searched and searched. And I never found it again. I don't know what happened to it. It disappeared like he did. And it's funny how I've always linked it up with a thirst of some sort, you know, a lack, a need of that magic well. Haven't, you know, in a funny way, haven't partaken of it once. And I just thought my life would have been so great if I had found it again. And the way I would have found him.
We went down to Schoolhouse Lane. Do you remember that?
Oh,
yeah, we were down there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no,
yeah, they tore everything down. You know?
Parents used to say, give me your grandmother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, she died, you know, 2 years ago, you know. Do you mind if we tape you? And you can, you know, send a message, you know? You can say something to Dad, and then when we get home, we're going to play it back. You see? Say whatever you like into the tape.
I sent you a letter. Tell to your nephew. I hope you're well. I may God bless you.
Okay, very good. And do you want to send a message to maybe Frank or somebody?
Oh, just the same thing.
Yeah.
God bless. I've been to head covers your meeting.
So I tell everybody God bless, right? Yeah, okay, that about takes care of it.
He shouldn't have done what he did. That's water under the mill now.
Angela loved it, I know that. All it does is go, oh, how we danced on the night we were wed. We vowed our true love, though a word wasn't said. The night was in bloom. There were stars in the sky, except for the few that were there in your eyes. That's it.
She had a great warmth about her. She always had good humor despite all the trials and tribulations.
I don't think we were too kind to her. I mean, I wasn't anyway, which I regret. I mean, it makes me think about I should have been more patient, more understanding, more forgiving, all of the above, which I wasn't.
People used to come to beg to get the leftovers from the Redemptorist priest table. That's where I found my mother begging. I was coming up here, I was pushing Alfie in the pram, and I looked over and all these people were clustered outside, and I said, God, I felt so terrible, you know, they're all begging for handouts and so on. Who's there but my mother? And I was so ashamed of her.
You wish you were a little older, that you could have done more for her sooner. We did the best we could when things got a little better. And you always think you could have done, you know, like I said, I wish we'd have gotten going younger to help her out, to make her life economically a little better.
When she met my father, and he was probably not, he was kind of a lunatic, but he was fairly kind. And I think that maybe because he was kind to her, probably the only man that had ever been kind to her, she probably fell in love with him for that reason. I don't think she ever got over him in a sense. And so there she was left again, rejected, and somehow or another trying to fight her way up through depression and being left abandoned, I think was the thing.
Speaking of mothers, there you are.
There he is. Put the stool, put the wire.
And there we are.
You're going to introduce the poor old Irish mother?
This is the poor old Irish mother. Yeah.
Not an old Irish
I know.
a young Irish
Right.
With sons in whom she's tragically disappointed. She wanted a priest.
Yes.
She wanted one priest.
He was going to be a white father, but he preferred the platinum.
Yeah, but he looks so black.
To Selma. I don't toil all day. I suppose it's because I'm not built that way. Some people work for love and say it's all sunshine and game. But if I can get sunshine without any work, I think I'll stay out in the rain.
She died on a Sunday morning. We had the wake over in the funeral home on 72nd Street with the chairs arranged in neat rows from back to front. And the brothers decided we wouldn't do it that way. We'd put the chairs in a circle, like the wagons, which was a very good idea. It made it much warmer, much more communal. They brought in some beer and stuff, turned it into a real wake with songs, stories.
Although she fought the good fight, she liked living, but it wasn't easy.
As a white candle in a holy place, so is the beauty of an aged face. As the spent radiance of the setting sun, so is a woman with her travail done, her brood gone from her, and her thoughts as still as water under a ruined mill.
When we first came to Limerick, we lived in a few places. Windmill Street, which is still there, in O'Keefe's Lane. Harstong Street, where Eugene died. And then we moved up here to Barrack Hill, to a lane up here. This hill was, it's quiet now because this is the barracks up here. Sarsfield Barracks. It was built by the English, who called it, older people called it the New Barracks, but when the Irish government came in, it was called the Sarsfield Barracks. You wouldn't believe the traffic that was here when we were kids. During the Second World War, there was the trucks were called lorries, as we call them, were coming and going, and soldiers going up and down here. And this is where I was sentenced to death once, when I was about 11. 11. Because I think Malachy and myself, I think it was Billy Campbell and somebody else, we went around to the back here and we climbed over the wall to get in. We managed to get towels or rags or something to dry ourselves because we heard they had showers in there. The soldiers had showers. We never had a shower, anything like that. All we had was a tap in that house down there, water tap. So we climbed over the wall in a place called the Widow's Field back up here. And we were standing there taking our showers, the four of us, bare arse naked. And a soldier comes charging in with a rifle, and he says, "Hands up." And the four of us are standing there with hands up. So the water's still coming down on top of us. So he told us, turn off the showers and pick up our clothes, and he marched us all the way through the barracks, from the showers right down here to the guardhouse, where where the sergeant was, the sergeant of the day, of the watch or whatever they call it. So he says, "What's this?" He says, "I'm going to have you executed. You're going to have to be executed." "Well, we weren't doing that. We just came in to take a shower." "I'm sorry, you could be spies. How do we know who you are?" "We just come in to take a shower." "Well, very sorry, you're going to have to be executed. We do our executions usually at midnight, so..." "Is that right, sir? Is that right, Corporal?" Yeah, they were all agreeing, and all having a great time at our expense. But we were terrified, because we knew all about executions. We were Irish kids, great students of Irish history, and the things that went on in here and in other barracks around the city. So, meanwhile, we're shivering, and finally they wouldn't let us dry ourselves. We wanted whatever towels we wanted to dry ourselves, and they wouldn't let us dry ourselves. They told us, put on our clothes anyway. It didn't matter. If we got pneumonia, we'd be too dead to know about it. So, so we put on our clothes, and we're standing there shivering. And I said, could I send a message out to my mother, who's just living right over the wall here? Could I tell her that Malachy and I are going to be executed at midnight? He said, "Your mother will know." He said, "She'll hear the rifle shots at midnight." And the four of us, I think, collapsed, weeping and carrying on. And then we're standing there crying, and the next thing, a soldier arrives in with 4 mugs of hot tea, gives us our tea, and we thought this was to be our last meal. We wondered if we could request slices of bread and jam the way you give it to the prisoners before they die. They gave us the tea, and then they told us, "Go home to your mothers, and never let us catch you climbing over this wall again, or you'll surely be shot."
It's a great misfortune to live in a lane in Limerick. In the grand scheme of things, the lane is barely above the poorhouse. But if you live in a lane,
you're poor.
You live on bread and tea.
You have a flat accent.
You wipe your snotty nose on your sleeve.
Your arse hangs out to the hole in your trousers.
Your mother patches the hole.
And she patches the patches.
But there's nothing left of the original trousers.
If you live long enough, you leave school at the age of 13 and get a job as a messenger boy.
But your great dream is to get out of the lane altogether, and you might someday, because your mother has a cousin in a place called Brooklyn.
Desperate suffering we had.
Classic, I'd say.
And we've tried to forget, haven't we? We've tried...
Religion.
Education.
Immigration.
Assimilation.
Sophistication.
Masturbation.
Fornication.
It all comes back to Limerick.
There was a lot of factions here. The upper part of the lane against the lower part of the lane. It's the Irish way, tribal fights, tribal factions. And there was a kind of hierarchy in every family where if one of the Millers bothered one of the McCourts, if a young Miller, a 9-year-old Miller bothered Mike or something like that, then I had to come out and defend the honour of the McCourt family. And Terry Miller, who was the oldest one in the Miller family, would come out, and the two of us, the warriors, would have a knockdown fight, usually on the top of Barrack Hill, and we'd go rolling down the hill. And that's the, and then we, then it was forgotten, but you had to defend the honour of the family.
There was comments on everything by people, forebodings of disastrous things to come. So the lane was, it was rich in that sort of vitality and vigor and words and humour and death.
The place was tumultuous. We just played all day, winter and summer. We never wanted to go home. We were never bored. We always had some activity, and if we got tired of being on Barrack Hill, then we'd form a gang, a posse.
We would advance down the hill to another lane down a place called Vise's Fields,
where there were the economic level was similar to our own, and we'd challenge them,
chanting, "We want war, we want war," and
they'd oblige us. Then we start throwing stones and sticks at each other for no reason whatsoever, but we had to. I guess that's some primitive instinct of the young male. And we'd have war, and we'd get hit in the head with a stone and come home weeping, eye bleeding or something like that. And the mothers would yell, "I told you not to go near Vise's Field. Stay away from that tribe. Stay away from them from now on," because we considered ourselves superior because we lived up here on a hill.
You always were embarrassed about living in the lane because one of the biggest insults you could cast on somebody in Limerick was to call him a laner, because you were the lowest form of life. And you always knew people from the lanes because they had a peculiar accent. We had a peculiar accent. It was extremely flat, and people say, you're a laner. Come here, that you dirty looking thing, you laner, you. Come in now, with Mary, or I'll break your face standing out there, you wanton street flag hopper, street walking, wanton strap there, looking at soldiers and them going to interfere with you in an immoral fashion and putting their hands all over your pure body, which is a temple of the Holy Ghost. Come in out of it, or I'll break your face. I will smash your countenance. That was that wonderful way they had of speaking.
We used to play ferocious games of soccer with everything. A stone, we'd catch a stone. Or if a tin can, which was very scarce, we'd play these. We'd pick one class would play another. And it was ferocious.
Or we used to play rugby in the street with a bunch of rolled up rags, playing on a hard concrete surface, tackling and the whole business.
I can see, the ghosts of the kids running up and down here. Everybody's snotty-nosed, everybody, half of the kids barefoot, everybody ragged. Down at the end here one time, there was an open space, and I formed a secret society. And so we had a secret password, and the secret password was Istanbul. You couldn't come into this shed unless you said Istanbul. And then somebody gave it away, so we changed it because we were all very geographically knowledgeable, and we changed the password to Constantinople. So we used to meet down there, and our main purpose in meeting as a secret society, we all pledged that when the time came, we'd defend Ireland to the last man. We were all 10 or 11 or 12, but we were going to defend Ireland to the last man. That secret society lasted about 2 minutes. The boys were not interested in defending Ireland to the last man anymore, because it was about that time, I think, we all began to notice girls. So that my secret society collapsed because of sex. No, there was no pay. I was pissed off too. Even though I was up here looking at the girls, so I wanted my secret society to continue. I liked the idea of defending Ireland to the last man, although I didn't know quite what that meant.
Oh, Limerick is beautiful, as everybody knows, and by that city of my heart, how proud old Shannon flows. It sweeps down by the brave old town, as pure in depth and tone, as when Sarsfield swept the Saxons from the walls of Garryowen.
One room. We all lived in one room. My mother, my father, Frank, myself, the twins before they died. And then Mike and Alfie came along after they died, but my sister, Margaret Mary, had died here as a small infant. And I remember this one room was absolutely infested with fleas and all kinds of insects. I mean, they were crawling up the walls and into your bed and into your ears and your nostrils, over your eyes, and our bodies, I remember, were covered with red bite marks from whatever these strange insects were. They were all fleas, I suppose, but it seemed like they were particularly vicious. And we kind of got the idea maybe they were imported from Africa or some other place. There were a number of families lived down there, and we had this one lavatory for all of them. The lavatory was outside our front door, and all the people came down with their buckets and just emptied them. And they wouldn't even go in there. They'd just they all become experts at throwing this shit and piss in there. And we called that lavatory Bucketham Palace.
The worst bucket in the lane was Bonnie Sexton's. My father said the stink from Bonnie's bucket was cosmic. You could hang your hat on that stink.
All over the place. Oh, God. And then it would seep. It was like being gassed.
If that Winston Churchill had any sense, he'd send Bonnie in her bucket over to that war that's going on in France, make sure the wind was blowing in the right direction. Bonnie, empty your bucket. She'd wipe out the whole German army.
We always seemed to be living in someone else's house, so there was competition for whatever food was available. It was hard to tell whether it was ours or theirs. We ate bread and butter, butter and bread, and bread and butter.
She used to bring home slices of bread that were obviously used or had butter smeared in them.
We'd eat anything. Jesus, you know, we were always hungry, and there was never enough. And you remember going to bed at night, and you'd be starving. And you'd settle for anything in the way of food. And I think about that a lot. When people say, here, I see kids or people saying, I'm hungry. And you'd offer something in the way of food. I don't want that. I hate that. I don't want that. Americans are very specific. They're not hungry. They just desire food. It has nothing to do with being hungry, because you say, well, here's a piece of bread. I hate that kind of bread. Whereas we would say, if I say, I would like a slice of bread, I would eat bread if it were made out of horse droppings, you know, so long as it were bread. I had no discrimination in that department.
I remember Malachi one night coming up here and finding, right here, a bag of chips that some drunken soldier had dropped. We had a feast that night.
On one of our big crime waves one night, we decided to pull this raid on this orchard. And we climbed the walls, and it was a hell of a climb because you had to get up over the barbed wire and stuff. And then we had these little, sweaters, they call them Genzies. It's like a little, button it up, you know. So you load up the apples here inside your sweater and tuck them in your pants, you know. Then it was a climb, then you had to climb back over again. So we made our successful raid, and we all got over the wall okay. And just as we all dropped to the ground, this big light goes on. And they say, hands up. So we all put our hands up, you know. And all, of course, as soon as we put our hands up, all the apples come rolling out from us. All you heard was bum 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 all over the ground. These apples, and it was the cops or the guards. So they just took us back up to Edward Street Station and gave us all a little talking to about our life of crime, and that was about it, you know.
My mother used to have to come down here with all the other poor women of Limerick. It was only the women who came because men didn't do things like that. Men didn't go begging the way the women did.
And they had these shawls. Oh, that also designated your class. Shawlers, or shawlies, they called them. And the older women, they'd wear these shawls. And they would use them like the way the bullfighters use their capes. They would go, get your way out of that, and don't you be talking to my daughter that way. Pass her now. Oh, the other would say, there's some, and they would start there's some, being very indirect. There's some not 100 miles from here, and they're getting money from the British government because they claimed their husband was wounded.
In the Great War. Wounded he was, and him running from the enemy, and the backs of his legs being penetrated by his own hard balls of shit. That's how he was wounded. There's one that I won't even talk about. She's known all over as the town bicycle, but there isn't a man standing in Limerick that didn't have a good ride on her. There's some that can talk that have a daughter wandering around, painted and powdered and rouged, a flag-happing, wanton strap of a streetwalker. She spends so much time down on the docks, on the flat of her back, entertaining foreign sailors. They call her Limerick's lighthouse.
My mother wouldn't wear a shawl. She'd insist on wearing a coat for the dignity that's in it, the respectability. When you look around at these buildings, you remember that we were barely surviving, having to come down here, and the one other place was farther downtown called the dispensary. When you were so desperate, it was like being on, no, it was worse than being on welfare in New York, because you had to go and report there and ask for the money, and they'd grill you. Not like being on welfare in the States where they send you a check and you can do whatever you like with it. They'd grill the women and make them prove, humiliate them, make them prove that they needed this money. It was very bad for her. It was very bad for all of us to have to come and beg like this. Nobody looked forward to it. But at least they were there. At least the St. Vincent de Paul Society was there. And every time I see the name in New York or someplace, I feel I have a warm feeling. And when I get very rich, I leave them $1 million.
That's a great subject to bring up in this family. Religion was like blood. It was always a big burden. I never was comfortable with it because we had the kind of stigma of the English divorce, the fact that my father had taken off. My mother never seemed to go to Mass. But there was a great deal of guilt. It was tremendous guilt. Why we felt maybe I was unusual in my feeling of guilt. But it was imposed upon us that you had to control your thoughts, control your mind, control your impulses.
My spiritual agonies, miseries, this church. I didn't like the priests down there at St. Joseph's. The Redemptorist priests were more, what's the word, manly. And I think they were more worldly, more realistic about sin and things like that. And besides, they preach such magnificent sermons. I think that's, if we have any sense whatsoever of stage, drama, and so on, ritual, it was the Redemptorists gave it to us. Because the priests down at St. Joseph's would come out, and they were kind of country boys, mean little country boys.
The priests seemed mostly bored with their duties, and they gave the most perfunctory sermons. It was like they just, and God loves you, and you must love God and attend to your religious duties, and you have to go to Mass, and you have to make your Easter duty. Easter duty meant that you had to fork over a larger than usual sum of money. It was always about money.
The priest used to come down from the priest's house in Barrington Street, passed down this way to go say Mass or hear confessions. They never turned left into the lanes to see the people, except once a year when they came around collecting money, what they call the Easter duty. They never came down here. There was no point to coming down here because they always wanted, and they were always very well fed and very well dressed, and they had cars. And we'd see that. We were afraid of them when they passed by here. So we were isolated.
They were very worldly people. They had cars. They were not too much interested in the spiritual lives of the people in the lane. It seemed to me anyway. The only time they came in was when somebody was dying, but we always went to them. And once my mother took Frank over because he had the opportunity to go away on camp with the Boy Scouts, and she needed to get a pair of shoes for him. And the priest said, "Do you want me to put my hand in my pocket and give you money for shoes for him?" It was like, no suggestion as how to do that. It's Ireland is full of Catholics, but as I remember it, there were very few Christians there.
There was one teacher there. He was a real son of a bitch, nasty old bastard. So I just decided to play hooky. And of course, playing hooky from school, again, one thing complicates things. You know, you're afraid to go home. And so I stayed away for a few days. And the only place to really find shelter at night was in the church. Of course, that didn't open till 4 o'clock in the morning. So I was freezing my ass off. And I remember just literally shaking with the cold. So I went into the church just to get warm. And of course, they're not too warm in there, but at least you're out of the cold, you know. So next thing, they start saying Mass at 4 o'clock in the morning. Every half hour they say Mass. So I went up and received communion, and I was starving. So I hit the altar about 6, 7 times that morning, received communion just from hunger, which you're not supposed to do. One of these old crones saw me, and then she went and saw my mother, and she said something like, "Oh, Jesus, Mrs. McCourts, your little boy is such a devout Catholic," or whatever. And of course, Angela freaked. And when they finally caught me after I'd been run away, they took me over to see this Father Moynihan. And I thought I was going to be burned at the stake. Here, they take me to the parish house and go in the room with him. He says, "Okay, well, what is it you did now?" And I said, I think I received communion 6 or 7 times that day. He says, "Why did you do it?" So I was being crafty. I said, "I offered it up for the souls in purgatory." And he says, "Well, just don't do it anymore." Of course, they were all outside the door howling for my scalp, expected to see me get the living Jesus beat out of me or for doing it, you know. But I came out and they said, "Well, what did he say? What did he say?" I said, "He said, just don't do it anymore." And that was the end of that. The one horror Christmas I remember was when Frank got typhoid fever. And he was in the hospital, and he was in critical condition. He was literally dying, you know, he was almost gone. But that was the Christmas, and I remember kneeling up. She said, "Kneel, you gotta kneel up on the chair in front of this picture of, I don't know, the Blessed Virgin or somebody, I can't remember now. But she said, you have to pray for your brother, you know." And I know it was my prayers that brought him back. But I remember we prayed our asses off.
It
was a very bright and sunny day, the day Oliver died, and you could hardly see him in the bed for the whiteness of everything. The whiteness of the sheets, the whiteness of the pillowcase, the whiteness of the habit that he wore. And a long, smelly man came into the room, and he went over to where Oliver was laid out in the bed, and he took a piece of string out of his pocket, and he measured him from head to foot, and he left. Dad, what was that smelly man doing to Oliver? Shh. Oliver's gone off to heaven to play with the baby Jesus. Will I have to go to heaven to play with the baby Jesus, Dad? Ah, you won't. Just go over there, kneel down, and say a prayer that Oliver is happy in heaven. I knelt down beside his body, but I couldn't think of a prayer, so I tickled him. Tickle, 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 Oliver. Tickle, tickle, tickle. No answer. Come on, Ollie, we'll go out and play horsey. No answer. So we were exposed to death very early. The finality of it was not apparent at that time, because they'd always tell us, you know, they're very happy and they're gone to heaven and they're playing with the angels and with the baby Jesus and they have everything they need and all that. And we would say, well, why can't they come back? But because they don't want to, and then you felt rejected by that. So death was omnipresent. But what is he now? He's a Holy Ghost. What does that mean? I'm telling the truth or telling a lie? Bong. He's a Holy Ghost. So appropriate.
Count your blessings every day, and you'll never be unhappy.
That was a kind of a close-knit, kind of where everybody knew what everybody else was doing and what they were talking about and what they had for their dinner and all the snobberies and all the closeness and all the fights, the looking down on each other, lording it over each other, the petty squabbles and the odd sharing of sorrow, the odd sharing of joy. And it was a strange place, very strange place.
It's like marrow in me. It's like spiritual marrow in my system.
I felt the same way, but then I grew up myself, and I guess I more or less got involved in bars and restaurants and such, and you hear so much horse manure and that kind of environment about being Irish that I became totally intolerant. I had no stomach for it anymore. Absolutely sick of it.
But they're gone, all over the world. I can look down the lane here, I can look at all the houses and think of people that are in England and America and Australia and Dublin. A lot of them went to Dublin. But they're all over the world. Some of them died, some of the older men died in the Second World War.
Jesus, all these people they leaving left and right. Guys I went to school with are dying and so on. It seems like they go at least an average of 5 years younger than here. And that's what I would find very hard to deal with. Going back to look up certain people and they're just not there anymore. I mean, they're gone.
I suppose the place is haunted, and I suppose people come back like me. Because when you lived like this, it left such a, it was so dramatic, it got into you. It was so profound, because every emotion that you had here was naked. Even the leaving it, even when I walked the last day that I left here, I remember walking up that day to go up to the railway station, to get the train to Cork, to get the boat to America. And I remember turning around the corner here and looking back and saying to myself, I'll probably never see this again.
Everybody left on that hill. And when you were going to Mass, you went up the hill. When you were going to school, you went up the hill. When you were going downtown, you went up the hill. When you were leaving for England, you went up the hill. When you were leaving for America, you went up the hill. And you knew, and when you were dead, and the hearse would come and it would go up that little hill, and you left the hill, you left the lane forever. So when you were leaving, there was the one way out. It was the road of destiny for us, one way or another. And it was, and we always talked about, go up the hill, go up the hill.
I think that Malachy and I, Mike, Alfie, had our greatest dreams here on this lane, the dream of escaping it.
We always had an escape. We knew eventually we were going to escape. And we did. We haven't done great, but we haven't done too bad either. I just had a nice dinner with my kids, and Connor and Juliet. It ain't doing too bad. There's a lot of people who don't have that tonight.
Maybe this is it. Maybe this is finally coming to terms with it. Because this is the first time I've come back that I haven't felt any particular anger over growing up here. There's nobody I can point to, except I still feel bitter over the church, the priests. They were the educated ones. They knew what they were doing, and they were supposed to be filled with charity and compassion and to walk in the way of Jesus, but they didn't. They were too fat and drinking their whiskey. And we knew it too, but we knew what was going on, but we were confused. And coming back like this, writing a book like this, is a way of erasing the confusion or clarifying everything and getting rid of all the judgmental stuff and the anger. I don't feel, there's no point of being angry anymore. Except that I have, when I look back and I feel great. The love. The dignity of the people here along this lane. The way they suffered with good humor, which is a contradiction. Suffering with good humor. They did. Boy, do they have dignity. If they complained, they did it with great style. That's what I liked. I don't think there was I can't remember any whining. My mother would complain about being poor and so on, but she did it with, there was attention to language. You almost made poetic statements about your plight. That's the way they were.
I think of other people who've gone through World War II and families blown away and devastated and all that. There's always somebody worse off. And the one thing about what we went through, there was nowhere to go but up. There was always hope. But I see other people in other situations where there's no hope, but when you take that away, you know, you might as well dig the hole.
And yakutuna one van hitu Ailina run. And yakutuna one hitu Ailina run. That's it. Sinead.
Will I ever get it out of my system? I don't think so. Maybe it's the biggest love affair of my life, Limerick.
Mother sits down by the fireside, thinking about her life, all the things she could have been instead of being a wife. With the one on the way, she married him, but he wasn't what he seemed. Now smoke and ashes are all that are left of what Angela dreamed. And it's a hard life in the city by the river, when the only thing to do is mark the time. Sick children in the bed and 3 already dead. Comfort is the drag of a woodbine. Now father was a proud man and a rebel in his day. Stayed gone till there's no money left, the drink had him that way. Then home he'd come to sing to us and pull us out of bed. Make us swear we'd die for Ireland, make a man wish that he was dead. And it's a hard life in the city by the river, when the only thing to do is mark the time. Sick children in the bed and 3 already dead. Comfort is the drag of a woodbine. Now that I am older, I can look at it again, see it all for what it was and what it should have been. Well, it's never what it should be, but you do the best you can. They say the things that almost break you are what make you a man. And it's hard, hard living by the river, when the only thing to do is mark the time. Sick children in the bed and 3 already dead. Comfort is the drag of a woodbine. Now I don't live beside the Killer River anymore. I left it all behind me, moved to a foreign shore. Sometimes I wish I could go back and spend a little while. Sit down by the fireside and make Angela smile. And it's a hard life in the city by the river, when the only thing to do is mark the time. Sick children in the bed and 3 already dead. Comfort is the drag of a woodbine. And it's a hard life in the city by the river, when the only thing to do is mark the time. Sick children in the bed and 3 already dead. Comfort is the drag of a woodbine.
think of myself arriving in New York when I was 19, all alone, as they say, not knowing anybody.
Frank was the pioneer. Malachi came second. Mike came, and then I came. When we all left Limerick, we all left by train. We all left from the railway station.
So you go from Cork to Little Island, Glantu, Townell, and Cove. The last journey, the last town before you hit America.
There's a spiritual connection in Ireland. But I think every Irishman has that little wish that either his bones or his ashes be taken back and scattered around here somewhere.
I don't know why we're doing this, going back over this stuff again, this material, when most people are content to just let it be. Because there's this New York police sergeant named Conor keeps asking questions till we exhaust this memory. You want me to look at you? Yeah. Okay. Malachi came over in 1952. So I sent the money.
The fare was $200, which Frank sent to me. It was a sunny day. There was no clouds. It was warm. And you just felt, you wished it wasn't so nice. Because it just made had it been raining and miserable, you'd have said, oh, Jesus, I'm glad to leave this place. But it wasn't. It just said, the day was saying, don't go, don't go. And we'd had the equivalent of the American wake, which is what they called it when they saw you off. Because like the average wake was for the dead people. And even at that time, they thought they would never see you again.
I'm bidding farewell to the land of my youth and the home that I love so well.
And you think of all these sentimental, awful songs, and you take Galway Bay, you would... you think... After I can laugh about it now, but I was weeping.
For tomorrow I'll sail far away, o'er the raging foam, for to seek a home on the shores of America. Our grandparents did it. They scrubbed and they scoured, they shoveled and tunneled so we'd be empowered. Why then should we care if the newly arrived worked 7 days a week and not 9 to 5?
I got off of the good ship America, landed here in New York Harbor, and started looking for work. And then I remembered a couple of people on the boat that told me I should come over here to Welfare Island, because all these institutions were here. So I got a job in this building, and they gave me these white jacket, white cap, white trousers, white shoes, and I thought I was going to be a bloody surgeon. But it turned out anyway that I was a dishwasher and a general clean-up sort of a guy.
Think about it, at 22 years old, you have your whole life before you, as I say, so you have this kind of well of excitement, because you never know what's going to happen in your life. So I got a job here on the platform, loading and unloading. We did that manually. That was $75 a week. Jesus, that was big money in those days. Eat, drink, sleep. and occasionally fornicate, although we were not very appetizing looking characters. And there was a lot of knocking around and drinking and going to Irish dances, and I had this rough existence, and I was not exactly a Romeo of the dance floor. I suppose I was lonely in the sense there were no women in my life.
Wawa?
Yeah, I like the wawa.
He wants the wawa.
But I had no sophistication, no genial small talk, no seductive chatter. So that was it. It was a celibate, the typical Irish bachelor celibate existence.
And I never will play the wild rover no more, and it's no, nay, never. No, nay, never, no more will I play the wild rover. No, never, no more. Well, I went into an alehouse where I used to frequent, and I told the landlady my money was spent.
Malachy had an uptown life and I had a downtown life. He had a nightlife, I had a day life.
Well, I got my very first job bartending. So I got behind the bar. A guy named Hugh McGill broke me in, taught me how to make drinks and mix them and all that sort of business.
Malachy got involved in this little saloon up around the corner here on 3rd Avenue. And he said, why don't you come back to New York and jump in here and help me out? So not knowing Scotch from bourbon or beer or whatever, I came to New York and he put me behind the bar, showed me where everything was and so on, and then the place just started rolling.
3rd Avenue, it was kind of a womb-like quality to it in a sense. Everything was Irish. There was Blarney this and Killarney that and O'Dat and Mac this and the windows just lit up with green neon shamrocks. It was here at 63rd was opened the first singles bar in America, Malachy's, and all of a sudden there I was, gone from a little room here, anonymous, thin little fella, not little but thin, to a fine big prosperous know-it-all in the most famous saloon in America, first singles bar.
So I was introduced to the wonderful world of booze. Whiskey and vodka and all that stuff, which we never drank. Because I'd never really drank booze for the simple reason we couldn't afford it, It's no great formula at the tending bar. Some people try to turn it into some kind of fucking mystical occupation. And it sure beats working for a living, But it is work. Some days, Jesus, it's hard. Some days you just don't want to talk, you don't want to get up, you don't want to go out. But that's the same in any job. But people expect you to be on. It's almost like showbiz. You have to be up for it every day. So right behind me here is the Barbizon Hotel, which was a residence hotel for very proper young ladies. In those days, like I said, they frowned on women going into bars, but all of a sudden this little phenomena started up. At this hotel here, they had a curfew at 11 o'clock at night. The girls would go back, change into their little jammies or whatever, maybe nothing else. put on their raincoat and come back up to Malachy's until the wee hours of the morning. Subsequently, they were known as the Raincoat Brigade. But that raincoat was sort of a badge. You know who they were. And you had 9 times out of 10, there was nothing on under that raincoat, which provided a few laughs here and there.
We never knew what was going to happen here. Fierce amount of drinking, hijinks. There was a canopy outside, and people would be swinging out of that at 4 o'clock in the morning. A noisy, very mad place, I must say.
9 times out of 10, we were going home at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. But we were bulletproof and young in those days.
Mike was working at Malachy's with me. Frank was teaching, and then I sent the money for my mother and Alfie to come over.
My own path was a very tortuous path. You'd have to cast your mind back to Limerick. My mother, you have to bear in mind that she was born in 1908, which was Victorian times, when everything was kept under wraps, everything was in the closet.
This is something I want to put on paper. I keep thinking of all the good things that might have happened to me if I were the littlest bit lucky. But no. I was to have all my life up to now been the most unlucky person in the whole world. First of all, my father went away 3 months before I was born. My mother had to work to keep the family, with the result I can tell you many times I went to bed and cried myself to sleep with hunger. When I was old enough, I was anxious to get away from home. She paid my fare to America. I was here for about 6 months when I met McCourt. And when he told me how much he liked me, like a fool, I fell for his blarney. I did not know too much about him when I married him. It was the first time anybody ever told me they liked me. And of course, I fell for his hook, line and sinker. When my eldest son Frank was born, I was the happiest person in the world, as I had something of my own.
The worst thing that ever happened to her was that she met him, and that immediately she got pregnant with me, and that she had 6 children in 5.5 years.
My mother used to talk about Margaret Mary and the twins and all, but they said that she tried to throw herself into the grave when the twins were being buried. Of course, I wasn't there, long before my time. When I was 9, Frank was already fully grown, as was Malachy, and Mike was pretty much fully grown too. A 4-year gap growing up is a big, big gap. Like the gap between Frank and myself is 10 years, between Malachy and myself is 9 years. When you grow up, when you're growing up, that's like a lifetime. There we are. So I'll see you probably in a few weeks. I was a different kind of immigrant. Go on. I came 1959 in December. I came with my mother. She was coming for a visit for 3 weeks. I supposedly was coming for a visit, but I knew I wasn't going back. And it was a terrific arrival. because I had already had 3 brothers here and it was Christmas time. It seemed like there was nothing but parties. Because Malachy knew a lot of people, Frank knew a lot of people, Mike knew a lot of people. I met more people in 3 weeks than I met in my whole life before. I could hardly keep track of everyone.
I'm 10 years older than Alfie. So when he was 6 or 7, I was 16 or 17. And I remember one night, it was a New Year's Eve.
So we were down at the head of Schoolhouse Lane.
We were in the lane. There was a lot of running around, and it was New Year's Eve.
And there were 2 bollards, you know, what they are? They're like
2 iron posts to stop cars from coming in or anything else.
And a bunch of us were playing around, running around and round and round.
He ran into this post, and he hit the top of it, and his eyelids was split.
It had like a lid around it, and I banged my eye on it, and I bled profusely.
I pulled his eyelid together, and we got what they call an elastoplast, which is a Band-Aid.
I don't remember much beyond that.
In those days, we didn't, when anything happened to you, you didn't go directly to a doctor or an emergency room. Jeez, it would take a near-death experience to go to a hospital. I felt, and that was another one of those moments when I was very close to someone that I thought, Jesus, I'd lay down my life for him.
I have always been proud of my brothers, because I'm the youngest. I always had to look up to them, and I always will look up to them. I don't always agree with them. I don't always like what they say, and maybe I don't like what they do. They have always been my heroes. My success in restaurants, which is minor, very modest compared with what has since happened to brothers. So I work here at Penn South. My job is apartment restorations. When they become vacant, we put them all back together again. Go to 558. So people know my name around here, so we often have to go and look to see what needs to be done. They ask me 5 questions, and then at the end they say, can I ask you one more question? What's that? Nothing to do with work, okay. Are you related? I am related. Are you? Yes. Angela's ashes, yes. My brother, yes. No, yes, no. We go through this whole routine. And they tell me how sad it was, and how wonderful it was, and how humorous it was, and how it's wonderful that we all survived.
We were still psychological messes. There was too much drinking, there was too much confusion, there was too much lack of direction.
Stay up all night, get 3 hours sleep and go back to work again. Just do it at a breeze, you know. Everybody just decided it was party time. People were making money and spending it. And most bars and restaurants were jumping.
Malachy was a fairly successful bar owner.
People from the world of show business and so on started hanging out in Malachy's.
What a great old bar. We threw down a carpet and painted the walls. And the people just flocked in because of my bit of fame on The Tonight Show.
This was America! Television, actor, saloon keeper.
Oh, well, nice to see you again.
Hi, Mrs. Ryan. Can I get you a drink? Not now, thanks.
But my mother, I think she was proud when I got on the soap operas, Ryan's Hope and Search for Tomorrow, and those ones that she, the people, all the women in bingo would say, saw your son on Ryan's Hope. Thank you, thank you. I always liked performing one way or another. And I didn't ever distinguish between film and television. I enjoy all of them. So doing commercials, fine, pays a lot of money. I did these commercials where I played King Henry VIII, and they had all this food. Here I'm just playing a king, but it made you feel like a king.
Imperial margarine with flavour meant for a king.
And then I'd hark back to Ireland, where I'd look at the diminishing returns of a little piece of potato, a little bit of bread, sometimes a little bit of meat, and God save us and guard us, an egg. An egg! Mind you, at Easter. Oh, Jesus.
This is the captain speaking. Chunky is the soup that eats like a meal.
Chunky beef. It's the soup that eats like a meal.
At the beginnings of my television appearances started with meeting Tom O'Malley. He was working for Merv Griffin, and he booked me on the Griffin Show, which was a syndicated show from New York City. I was running this saloon called Himself at the time, and I was on Merv Griffin a lot, because if a guest didn't show up, they would ring me and I'd come down and do the emergency fill-in. Very strange. At that time, a lot of it was live, too. You went out, you were standing behind these curtains. It was dark, black, and they'd pull the curtains aside and tell you you're on. And then you come out into this blinding lights to applause. You couldn't see audiences or anything else, but they always applauded because they were urged to, no matter who you were. But it took you about a minute to get used to the fact that you were on a national television. Very strange feeling. I would just go and tell a few yarns, a few stories, whatever happened to me, and if they hadn't happened to me, I'd make them up. And I became well known for being well known. I mean, nobody could pin me down to being anything. I was simply what they called a New York personality. So that's what I was.
After a while, you got to be Malachi's brother. So you just say, I'm Malachi's brother. Oh, yeah. And that was it.
Malachi just moved through the world, and things came to him.
Bring me chocolate. Yes, sire. Bring me peanut butter.
Right away, sire.
People would want to open up a bar. Malachi, let's open up a bar, with all his charm and his gregariousness, and they'd open up a bar.
I like this.
He had that kind of charm that I certainly don't have it myself. I had to go to charm school. Cost me a fortune. Didn't work.
I had my own television show on Channel 9. WOR here in New York. Very briefly. It lasted about 10 minutes, I think. But I had a very good time, and I used to stretch the rules of broadcasting to the limits. Can you imagine sitting at a microphone and talking and getting paid for it, hour after hour after hour, and then going home and realizing that you're not done yet, that you could have talked for 4 more hours, and then you go back again the next week, and off you go again. I couldn't wait to hear what I had to say next. It didn't last too long because it was sort of at the height of the Vietnam thing, and my own politics were anti-war, and there were quite a number of people who thought it was unpatriotic to be ranting against the war on television.
Hello, you are on the air.
You're a disgrace to your poor old Irish mother.
She wouldn't be proud of me if I wasn't, sir. Thank you for the call. Hello, you're on the air.
You're a disgrace to the fair name of Ireland.
The best of Irishmen always are, sir. Thank you for the call. Hello, you're on the air.
Why don't you go back to where you came from?
Madam, do you know the size of the average womb?
McCourt, the First Amendment doesn't cover this kind of filth.
But this is America.
Oh, yeah, well, you're fired.
Oh, shit.
And if you offer me the choice of a dinner or free speech, I'll take the free speech anytime.
Maliki was on various television shows, and I was, as they say, only a teacher. In both cases, we would tell stories. I said to him one day, why don't we put these together and get on the stage? So.
Hello, how are you? God, you're a lovely looking girl with that red hair tumbling down your back, like the sun kissing the river shadow.
Oh, you must be Ivy.
We really didn't have a script. Maliki would get up and tell a story. I'd get up and tell a story. Maliki would get up and tell it.
What do you think of Joyce?
Joyce? I haven't met her yet. Is she here?
And there was no, we had bits of paper to remind us of what our stories were. Then I'd get up and sing a song. He'd get up and sing a song. And we charged people $7 to get into this thing.
Why don't you come back to my place and I will teach you all about James Joyce and all the Irish writers.
She did. She told me all about James Joyce and Oscar Wilde and William Butler Yeats.
I don't know how we got away with this. We did it. We have pictures to prove it.
I at last became an Irishman. I don't know what I was before then. She assured me that I had suffered a massive identity crisis. God, I said it wasn't that bad. Worse, she said, you didn't know yourself, you didn't know your heritage, now you have roots.
My mother came to see the opening of it in the Billy Monk Theatre.
I know when Frank and Maliki did a couple of blackguards, I think she was very much taken aback.
It all comes back to Limerick.
And the father.
The father. He came from the north of Ireland and he sang, so he did.
And he got the Irish divorce, so he did.
What is the Irish divorce, Frank?
He disappeared, so he did.
In the beginning, she didn't approve because it was a little bit like washing the dirty linen in public.
And we were halfway through it, and she got up in the middle of the first act and she said, "'Twasn't that way at all, it's all a pack of lies."
She liked celebrity, she really liked parties, and she liked the whole TV, radio. She loved all of that, but I don't think she ever wanted any of her life to be portrayed in public.
And Maliki said, "Why don't you come up here and tell us your version?" I wouldn't be caught up on the stage with the likes of ye. I have a reputation to maintain. This is Irish mother encourage her sons to fame and fortune.
The problem with that whole business of that kind of a background is that you're left with a residue of guilt on one shoulder and shame on the other. Both of them nattering at you. Blah, 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 blah. You're no good, you're no good, you're no good, you're no good. You can't do anything, you'll never amount to anything. Blah, blah, blah. Cacophony of sound, roaring, shouting, and you begin to believe it. Shame says, you know, you have a rotten past, you've done all these things which you can't be forgiven for. Guilt says there's no point in going on because they'll find you out.
When I got out of the army, I had the GI Bill. And I didn't know what to do with it because I knew I couldn't go to college because nobody would accept me without a high school diploma. But I started thinking about life, which is a dangerous thing when you're Irish and 21, 22. Walking across Bleecker Street to Washington Square, and there was NYU, and I said, I think I'll go there. And I found out where the admissions office was.
Could I please be admitted to New York University?
Yes, well, hold on now. Do you have your high school diploma?
And when I handed it in, they said, "Well, you didn't fill in the part about your high school." I said, "I never went to high school." And they thought that was very funny.
I read all the books. I've read James Joyce and William Butler Yeats and Sean O'Case. I read them all.
What a cute brogue! Harriet, listen to this cute brogue. Say something in brogue for Harriet.
I explained to them that I had done my bit for American democracy in Germany, and I was a mature student. I'd read a lot.
I want to be assimilated. I want to be the boy next door. I want to have white, even teeth. I want to have a name like Chuck.
They let me in. They took the chance, and whoever it was, I light candles for that woman now. And then I became a teacher. which for me was the perfect profession. I could never imagine myself doing anything else, being in a corporate. Because for a while I worked at a bank, manufacturers trust company in the personal loan department. I was processing personal loans and I had a stamp, accepted, rejected, accepted, rejected, accepted, rejected. Of course, most of the time I put accepted, accepted, accepted. There's many a Puerto Rican family in the Bronx think got their new car. They think they got it because of their good credit rating. It was me. Accepted, accepted, accepted. I rejected nobody. 18 years in the school was overwhelming in many ways, but I felt so, coming in the door, this was where I belonged. This was my home. This room was the center of my life. It was my university. It was a refuge from all of my personal troubles. If I came in here, I was at home. This was my domain. In the classes at Stuyvesant, there was a different atmosphere from anything I'd ever known before, because the kids were more open and inquisitive and curious, and they'd ask me questions about my life, and they were master amateur psychologists. So I had to get with the high IQ crowd here, the ones who were all going to college, the bright ones. For me, it was a great adventure, a great exploration. It's different from writing, and I miss it. I miss it because of the communication. I learned a lot in this room about music and love, sex, families, drugs, literature, history, everything. I learned a lot about myself. The seniors, I used to do Hamlet. It's very hard for me to say I would teach Hamlet or that I would teach any novel or any poem. I'd say I'd do it. We'd learn together. And one of the things, one of the saddest parts of it was sometimes the term will end and they leave here, and you look at a kid walking out the door, and your heart sinks because you feel you haven't reached him or her, and you'd like to say, "Come back, I'm not finished. Stay. We'll stay here all summer till I find out what's going on." But they're gone.
While Malachi was the celebrity in New York, Frank had his circle and his circles. He had his academic circles, his intellectual circles, his Greenwich Village circle, his Lion's Head.
Well, Frank was teaching and going to school at the same time. And so, you know, he was between teaching and working. I think he had started out going for his masters at the time.
I lived in Brooklyn, but the Lion's Head was my home away from home. And I'd go over there and I'd drink, but then I'd stay out late. And I realized I'd go to the classroom sometimes after not having any sleep at all, and the kids say, "Hey, yo, Mr. McCourt, you don't look good. You don't look too good. You better get some sleep." So I didn't want to get that reputation. I didn't want to fall into the Irish stereotype, the drinking Irishman.
Our drink was, nobody had a greater time under the influence than I had. I was one of those people who flourished with it. It seemed I got brighter and wittier.
But we used to have arguments that went on into the wee hours and discussions and life in general. Just before people started getting conscious of all this health stuff about drinking. Like I said, everybody did things to excess. I was Mr. Party Time. I was like a kid in a candy store, you know. Just after that is when I got bounced from Malachi's, which was a shock to everybody, you know.
So he was
terminated, as they put it these days.
Well, let's say I was asked to leave.
Partners thought that he'd better go rather than me, because my name was on the marquee outside.
I began to be pretty much of too much of a good customer, you know. And the booze got in the way, you know. I wasn't paying attention to business. And that was about the end of my career at Malachy's, you know. But it was fun. It was fun while it lasted, you know.
As the drink got to him, everybody in the world became asshole, asshole, asshole. Nobody says the word asshole like Mike. But people apparently they came back. It was like a badge of honor. Do you know what? Mike McCourt called me an asshole. It was like the company, when they got a promotion, they wouldn't think of it as much as being called asshole by Mike.
I was loonier than anybody. I drank it up and smoked it up, did it all, you know. I decided to give it a go on the West Coast. Just got tired of New York there. And I ran into this guy who was opening up a New York type saloon, so he recruited me to come up here. He asked me to come up and have a look. It all looked good to me, so I wound up staying. And I don't know if too many guys my age were still doing it like we did. And it's a whole day. I wouldn't want the people who are drinking now anyway, I wouldn't want to drink with them. I have not, you know, I listen to some of these dumb shit conversations across the bar. I think at least we used to talk. The conversations were fierce, you know. Argue, political, religion, whatever. But these idiots, their conversation consists of what they had for dinner last night. Maybe it's the old crotchety old bastard coming out in me. But nothing they say interests me.
Whiskey, you're the devil, you're leading me astray over the hills and mountains and to America.
It's almost 30 years now since I've been in New York. A long way from Schoolhouse Lane to Alcatraz, right? But for the grace of God, we'd all have wound up out there, right?
And I was out of Malachy's, and Mike had been fired, and I had just split up with my wife, Linda, then. She had decided, rightfully so, she couldn't live with this lunatic, drinking, essential bachelor, and that was it for her. So I met a man uptown in New York who said to me, "How would you like to take a trip to India?" I said I would. "So how will I do that?" He said, "You have to smuggle in some gold." Took off to Zurich, and then from there to Bombay. My God, Bombay. What a town. What a city. The purpose of your visit to India, tourists, and how long will you be staying? I took the bag with the gold in it, and I had to pretend that it was extremely light. It was pulling the arms out of my sockets, and there's a row all waiting with the stamps, stamping people in. I thought they had me. So I went to swing the bag up on the table to be inspected, and he said, no. Welcome to India, go straight through. I I got a good big chunk of money for each trip. Gold at that time in India was $70 an ounce. In the Western world, it was $35 an ounce. And I had tremendous difficulty in finding my contact. So I was told to come here and use the telephone. I had acquired a little gang, a daily gang of mendicants who followed me everywhere. Baksheesh, baksheesh. Well, I had to go to the telephone 3 days in a row. Call, 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 call. I was nearly driven mad. On the fourth day, I got the people and I got my instruction. A man will meet you at the gateway to India at 8 o'clock tonight. So off was off to the gateway to India and disposal of the bullion. Then I heard this voice saying, Haji Khan, which was my code name. Yes. Haji Khan, yes. Follow me. All right. So I followed him out that gate. I was sweating and miserable, and it was dark and it was eerie. I'm loping along after him, and he's just practically running. And I was saying, for God's sake, slow down. So we got to our destination, and me and the perspiration pouring off me. Oh, I was so glad to get rid of that gold that night. So there it was, out that way. Well, it brings back the memories of being lonely at the time, of feeling what a spy must feel like, that you can't really communicate with anybody. And me being a gregarious sort of a fellow, I couldn't socialize really, as long as I had the gold, because there were lots of informers around. Until I got rid of the bloody stuff, I was always keeping my distance. It was an automatic 5 years for gold smuggling. And it would not have been in a very nice looking place like this, because to my left here, there's a lockup, which is just a temporary place before people go into the penitentiaries. Usually speaking, you would be disabled for life one way or another because of parasites and disease and all that. If you didn't die, you certainly would not recover. There was malaria, cholera, and all that kinds of things prevalent throughout those prisons. No, I would not like to have ended up in an Indian prison. But I didn't care, and because I didn't care, I didn't get caught. And that's the way it was. So it was lonely, and my mind was elsewhere on a broken marriage and children, Maliki and Siobhan, and all of that, and I felt very sad. So here I am taking what they call a geographical. And if you have a broken leg in New York, you have a broken leg in Bombay. If you have a broken heart in New York, you have a broken heart in Bombay. I was drunk a lot, and I was drinking, I was miserable and unhappy. And I know when I was here before, I used to follow the funerals. And I remember following a funeral one night, and all of a sudden, the music went transposed from sort of very Indian, that high-pitched, my ears perked up. The next thing I'm singing away, it's a long way to Tipperary, it's a long way to go. It's a nice thing to tickle Mary, the sweetest girl I know. Goodbye, Bombay. And so I sang that. But the whole morning party looked back at me
at this big, red-bearded, red-haired lunatic at 2 o'clock in the morning, half pissed, and I'm singing like a lunatic, and they're all clapping hands, and they had begged me join the funeral party because they thought it was the best morning song they had ever heard, not knowing it was a British occupation song. These holes are for babies. No, they're so small. And they keep them here, I think it is for 6 months. And then the ashes are taken away or scattered. Huge mortality rate here, needless to say. My sister, she was only a few weeks old, and she's buried in a grave in Brooklyn. I've never been there, really. One day I hope to visit that. She was such a tiny little creature, such a beautiful little creature. They say she was too much of an angel to live. But it broke my mother's heart. Oh boy.
When the baby girl was 3 weeks old, we found her dead in her crib. From there on, I fell to pieces. I got a nervous breakdown, and my God, what a time I had. I did not know it was night or day. And to make things worse, McCourt, he went off and got drunk just to drown his sorrows.
Alfie and I went over to his funeral in 1985 and we saw him buried. We had to make sure he was safely stored away. When I was at the funeral, the priest was about to say Mass, and somebody introduced Alfie and me to the priest, and the priest said, well, he said, I didn't know Malachi had 2 sons in America. I said, he has 4 sons in America. Oh, he says, well, I suppose he didn't fancy you. He never mentioned you. That was a kind of a hostile priest, but I don't know why I went to my father's funeral. It was Alfie's idea, so the oldest and the youngest went. And that in a sense was the end of him.
Frank said it, Malachi said it, Alfie said, how could he do it, you know? Being at the age I was, I didn't realize how bad it was. You know, the idea of going out and drinking up all the money and having nothing, you know, all that stuff. That didn't register with me until later on.
It was like sort of like high octane fuel for me. But yet, it was going edging deeper into the abyss, the darkness of despair in the mornings.
Just started to get in the way of things. Between when my friends started telling me you gotta ease it out, knock it off, you're turning into a wacko. But I don't know of an Irish family that hasn't been affected by it. It's the national drinking was the national pastime.
Yeah, my father was an alcoholic. Though, shall we say, he was an extremely heavy drinker and he ruined his life and ruined mine. He would have to say he was an alcoholic. I can't say that for him. But he didn't do us any good, I can tell you.
But I don't know, I could never see letting, if you make a promise, it's criminal to break a promise to a kid. There are circumstances where maybe you have to break promises or whatever, but you should keep your promises to kids. But just don't help you don't leave them. No, I've been divorced and all that myself, but I never lost contact with the kids. You owe it to them.
McCourt was not capable of taking care of himself, never mind taking care of children. I have not made it clear about him. He was an alcoholic, and therefore I never could honestly say that I could ever plan on cooking a good dinner for the next day. Malachy McCourt, just went off and spent what little money I had for food.
So that was, so I wasn't going to turn out like him, I hoped. I did in a way, but you kind of have to realize you're responsible and you have to stop it. Oh, I see a lot of parallels in my own life. There's ways of deserting families without leaving, and I did, my first family anyway. And I can't blame, you know, I was responsible, but the drink, I was responsible. Assisted and fueled by drink. And you regret those things, but you try and make amends best as you can, and I do. So that's what it stands today. It nearly killed me. So it was time to stop. From every point of view, emotionally, physically, spiritually. It was time.
It's just another toy you have to put away, you know. And every once in a while you get to miss it. But overall, I don't want to be that same wacko I was anymore, you know. Disrupting people's lives and so on. I don't want to do that.
Come.
So it's been a tremendous struggle then, as very isolated and as very wounded individuals, to find our paths through life, covering up and the shame of what we were.
Considering what we came from, we haven't done so badly at all, because I think we've all of my brothers have done significant things, made our mark one way or another. And we've had all kinds of problems along the way, but so does everybody else. It's how you handle it that matters.
Just the very act of survival in our case, and then just growing up and making a family. Righty, steady, off go. Living a halfway decent life. That in itself is a triumph. We're going to, first of all, Hawthorne, New Jersey. Every Saturday, Ali and I have our routine. What do we do, Ali? We get up in the morning, have breakfast, right? And we get dressed. Who did your hair?
Dad.
Dad, right? Okay. Sit over there. How about if we do a song, Ali?
Yes.
Come and sit. It relaxes, Alice. Come and sit by my side if you love me. Do not weep as you bid me adieu, but remember the Red River Valley and the cowboy who loved you so true. Good, good. Would you like to sing another? Or would you like to have... What? Okay, do it for me. He's got the whole world in his hand. He's got the whole world in his hand. He's got the whole world. I wish that we could do more when we come over here and just go around. Unfortunately, we're pretty much confined to the car, go to the class. Yes, he's coming. He's going to sit in the back. Get back in the car. Go back to the next class. Get back in the car and go home. It used to be every Saturday we'd go home and by ritual order up a cheeseburger and French fries. We would split the cheeseburger and the French fries. She likes it. La, 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 la. So.
P50.
There you are. One day up on the New York State Thruway, I got gas. Guy came and took the money, gave me my change, and I drove off. I didn't realize he still had the hoosie in the tank. So I drove down the highway, pulling behind me the gas pump, the 2 other gas pumps, and the whole gas station that was pulling down behind me down the highway before I realized it. People screaming and yelling.
There you go.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. So I learned. I mean, ideally they would finish the job and take the money, but this man forgot.
So, when you come out here, what's it mean to you as far as what's this day mean to you as far as
this day?
Yeah, in the routine of your life. Saturday.
Well, Alison depends a lot on routine. On the one hand, I sure could live without it. I'd love to stay in bed on a Saturday morning, maybe once in a while, or not go anywhere, or just walk down to the corner and buy a paper and go and have a coffee someplace. And it's, as I said to you, I think it's a precious kind of a time. And I think she feels secure in knowing that we have this time. God knows what it means. I don't know. Alison doesn't have enough language to express it. But as much sometimes as I may complain and moan and groan about it Saturday morning, I probably would miss it if we didn't do it. We don't necessarily talk much, we don't always sing, but as I say, she depends on routine, precious time. Time with Dad, and time for Dad with Alison without interruption. And he's got the whole world in his hand. Who else? He's got Conor McCourt. In his hand he's got Conor McCourt. In his hand he's got Conor McCourt. In his hand he's got the whole world in his hand. Who else?
And it's great to have a family. It's great to be loved.
Maggie was born in 1971, in May 1971. I had that feeling about her, their gifts. I felt like an outsider most of the time. Finally, I felt connected to the world through this little girl.
I was driving home when I took a snooze at the wheel and smacked into the 19th Avenue tunnel out here. I just about broke every bone in my body. Other than that, it's been pretty good. The best days, I would say the advent of all the kids were always good days for me.
I know a man I know who says his prayer is, Lord, let me die before my child. To have a child die before you is monstrous. I don't know how she ever smiled again, how she ever laughed again, but she did.
Probably shooters.
Huh? I can't reach the window.
There's a little statue of an angel in there and just inside the window. Do you see it? Angela, come out. Flap your wings.
You know, I used to ask her, I think I was 10 or 11, I said, what happened to Margaret Mary? I don't know. I said, what do you mean you don't know? She didn't know. The baby was taken away with the doctor and never seen again. So there was no funeral. It was probably unbearable for her anyway. Because my father never mentioned that. So this is, and all those years I wondered what became of her. I was wondering if she was a shoveled off. You know, when you hear about paupers' graves, people are buried and there's no record of it. And I didn't have much hope of ever being able to find her. So we had to come out here to find her and close the circle.
So where are we going to put it?
So are there others? There are other names here? Oh, Lord, yeah. Oh. This is the second one. Something 1942. I wonder why she was... Oh, that's what's happening.
This where it was?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They'd wait for a number of children to die, and then they put them all together in this, in what they call the pauper's grave.
And this is one of Angela's bones.
I think they're joined.
They will be joined. So I think if you do that, Frank, you'll be in the...
I think the saddest moment of my mother's life, I think, was when this baby died.
Put it down here.
So here's mother and daughter joined, at least in death.
We're putting ointment on our own souls by doing this.
And Frank writing Angela's Ashes has freed us all, in a sense, from strictures of the past. And the ghosts are still present, but they're very substantial ghosts. Angela's Ashes broke down one huge barrier to our expression of our feelings for each other, for our love and affection. She'll hear no more the lowing of the calves on the warm hillside, or the kettle on the hob sing peace into her breast. For she comes, the human child, to the waters and the wild, with a fairy hand in hand, from a world more full of weeping than she can understand.
It's such an ache, it's such sadness that I think this symbolic ritual of putting her name on that monument, that memorial, somehow eases it.
We are in this sort of vain attempt getting to know her, and I suppose we do now. The mother being in Mungret in Ireland, and my father in Belfast, and the twins in St. Patrick's. We're all over the place, yeah.
I'm not going to be buried at all.
Stand him up.
I'm going to be stuffed and mounted.
Yeah.
Shaking hands.
Shaking hands.
It would have been nice to have a big sister to take your little teenage romances and so on when your heart's broken, to talk to somebody about. It would have been nice.
I'd say we'd all probably be better dancers if we had a sister.
Despite everything, there's the fact that she's at least commemorated the baby and the mother, that they're brought together somehow, because it was that said, I feel we've done some kind of duty to the mother and the child that they're brought together in a strange place in Queens. They were all, we come here from two sides of the country to do this, and there's a younger generation witnessing it. So they're not forgotten, the baby. I thought I went through this already. So that's why. That's all I can say. There's a great sweetness about it.
Ashes and bones and remains. But we're still upright, and any day above ground is a good one. Yeah. Thank you.
But when I look at this family, which has grown and grown and grown, and I look at the way, the direction different people have taken, the story grows, and I, as a writer, I suppose, I keep track of it, and I know I had a part in it.
We will always, in spite of our turbulent times and all that, we were always pretty close.
We made a lot of mistakes, but at least we had fun making the mistakes. We had a good time. We'll have a story to tell. Brother Malachi now has a book of his own. Brother Mike from California rejoices by phone. Brother Frank, as we know, is the Pulitzer winner, and they can, if they like, have 12 eggs for their dinner. So many people ask me in the street. Somebody asked me at one of the gatherings, well, now you have the Pulitzer Prize in the family, and now you have another bestseller coming along. What are you going to do? I said, probably I'll show up, because nothing happens if you don't show up.
We'll sing Danny Boy. Come on, Danny Boy.
That's Billy.
Billy Campbell. Oh, yeah.
Well, you can't sing that song. That's Billy's song. Do you have any other songs? How about the Rose of Tralee?
I made them up last night. Everybody knows the words. And I shall sleep in peace until you come to me.
When you're young, the truth is as clear as the day. As you sip from its water, life takes it away. And the wisest man could not but be affected. Are our children taught the truth? It seems they're totally neglected. I learned to live by the rules, walk the streets with both my eyes closed, till the cracks appeared on my skin. And I'm letting in water, and I'm letting in water, and I'm letting in water, it's true. Die, 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 die. It's true. Die, 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 die. The sun in your heart and the sun in the sky. The bond it breaks as the years they go by.
Why are you doing this
Yeah.
for?
Huh?
Why are you doing this for?
We're doing a documentary about police officers around the world.
Tanya's a registered nurse. She works at Children's Hospital here in Philadelphia. She's been a nurse for just as long as I've been a cop, which is about a little more than 5 years. She's always been wanting to get into pediatrics, and she finally got into pediatrics when she got this job at now. She loves going to work every day, so she's happy. I'm happy for her. I always feel like if I'm not around, either one of them or the both of them, that something might, happen. So I think I worry a lot. I think I get on her about that too. Call me the minute you get to work. If nothing else, just to let me know that you made it there safely, or when you go to drop him off, let me know that y'all got there safely.
I'll see y'all in a little while.
Okay. Her being a nurse and me being a cop, our schedules are crazy, so I'm not always able to be around. When I'm not, I worry.
John, lock the top off.
I don't think that the general public has even an inkling of how bad it is out here. They, for the most part, the average person only knows what they see on the news, the high-profile murder, or they don't realize that, 50 people got shot tonight. They don't realize that another 100 people got stabbed and robbed, and I don't think the average person has a clue.
I had to go to the hospital for my niece. Get back home, the water heater busted. Well, I've been on a job maybe 3 years now, and I've seen that probably around 7 or 8, maybe 9 officers getting shot at just within the last year. Safety first, safety first. Sergeant Bart stresses that all the time to us out there on the street. Safety first, because the last thing you want to do is go to a funeral of one of your own officers, especially that you knew. We already had one guy try to kill us, while we was together once. When you're home after the shooting and you're in the living room, and you're thinking, wow, and you got your, your kids on your lap or everything, and wow, I feel good to be home tonight, You think about, the job that you're doing, and how dangerous it is out here. And God forbid, but one day it's possible you might not make it home to that couch at your house with your kids. I agree with Sergeant Bart. The main objective is to do your job and try to get home to your family at night. That's the most important part. Get home to your family at night.
I've been on the force for 5 years now. I've been a sergeant for 2. And I've been assigned narcotics for a year. Ready front, attention roll call. Chandler Millwood, 128 using 113. Joyce and Monahan, 129 use 117. Collins, 132 use 124. Parker, 133 use 135. Callahan and Carey, 134 using 134. Lopez, you'll be with Burton and Wilson. And Clement, you'll be with Holtz and Rodriguez. That way we'll have one Spanish-speaking officer in each car. We gotta stay away from 3rd and Birch. The field unit has an investigation going on there and they need us to stay away from it. We can hit the surrounding areas though, Indiana and Stella, but we just gotta stay off of Birch Street. So that's for you surveillance guys. Draw, pistols. Steve, what's going on with the job?
We're doing 2,900 Orkney. We got 1 positive so far.
Normally what we do is after we get 2 buyers, then we'll set up and everybody will move in simultaneously to arrest the dealer or dealers. So right now we're at buyer number 2. Thanks, Sean. Since I can't actually observe the corner myself, being in uniform, what I'll do is the surveillance team will just, let us know where the dealer is and when they think it's best for the dealer to come, for us to come in and get him.
Hi, Steve. Got 2 positive for crack.
Okay, yeah, the second buyer was positive for crack cocaine.
Now, come in now. Hispanic male with blue on one side, white on the other, blue jean shorts, and white sneakers. Listen, the stash location should be on the east side along the fence line. If not, check the other side. Hey, Mike, look on that step. Right where you at. Look around that step and start going south.
Steve, down here where Purnell is?
He should be on the southeast corner. He was sitting on that stoop where that closed store is.
Out here in the Badlands, it's like you're the enemy out here, and the criminal element is the norm, and you're the bad guy. That's how a lot of even the little kids look at you, and a lot of the older people even. Normally the older people, you know, they welcome you. Out here, a lot of them, they don't want to see you either because their nephew or their son or daughter is out here selling drugs to support the family, and so they condone it because that's how they're supporting not just them but the entire family.
Whoever's walking south, you can walk up a little bit into that little opening where that lot is.
What the surveillance officer said is that most of the time you got a stash from right here off alongside the wall, but right now we're not able to locate any type of stash. A lot of the guys that you lock up more than once, as you well know, you see them and, you know, like, hey, how you doing? You know, they know your name. Most of the time it's your last name. Hey, Bart, how you doing? You know, and you develop some kinds of relationships with them. But if I ride through the block right now and, hey, Bart, how you doing? You know, everything fine. Then I ride back through the block and they doing the wrong thing, then, as you well know, I got to do my job. Hey, Jewel, give me that description again, please.
Female wearing shorts. She has a multicolored shirt. She has puffy, light brown hair.
Guy says he was standing waiting. Says they never came back. I'm gonna go through him some more, but I don't have anything yet.
Black shirt, no sleeves, and a gray hat.
Most cops were in the practice of using big 6-cell flashlights and you know, maybe intentionally or not intentionally, you might tend to use it as a weapon. Well, this eliminates all of that now. These things are real bright. They're just as bright as your 6 cells, and they're made of rubber. There's no potential to use them as a weapon, so. Hey, Jill, we got stash location?
She put it right down the front of her pants or in her bra. She was reaching in both places.
Do you have a female officer available for Shelbourne and Madison for a search?
What'd you do before?
Before I came on the job, I managed a discount store.
Like a 5 and dime type place?
Exactly, you know. Now, I'm gonna make this easy on you. We observed you buy all the way back there. We observed both of you buy. So either you give it to me now, or we're gonna tear up everything here, find it, and then take your car also. The store I was in, it was in the heart of the ghetto, and it was a lot of bad elements in there, you know. You didn't really have to interact with them like you had to do doing police work. Where'd you put it at?
I never got it.
Nathan 133. Nathan 133. Tell Sergeant I'm available. I'm en route.
We got a female officer en route over here. So if you got anything in your bra or anything in your underwear, she's gonna get it out. You got drugs in there?
No, I have makeup.
He's a heroin addict, and when they go through withdrawal, the heroin addicts actually experience physical pain. Whereas a crack addict, every once in a while they tell us, well, yeah, I got it here, heroin addict. But never they deny it to the day they die. Although I had to deal with the public a lot, Manton's in the store. You don't see the bad side of you know, the people like you do doing this. And not that you see the bad side of people, but you know, you see a lot of good people at their worst times when you're doing this. Where, you know, man's in the store, you see them while they out happy shopping.
Well, yeah, buy anything.
No problem, you don't make it hard, no problem.
Buy anything, officer.
Keep your hands up on the dash here. Keep your hands on the dashboard, on the dash, all the way on the dash. Do not move them off of the dash.
Oh, okay, sir.
Put your hands on top of the dash.
All right, I'll just get my car.
You never know what you might come across. So, you know, there's no way you can feel totally safe out here.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
And when you copped, did you buy?
No.
You didn't buy? So why did they think that you bought just now?
Obviously, they were watching from a distance. We knew that. That's why we had nothing on us now. It's so easy to know that they might turn around.
They stopped you just now, right?
Right.
Is that an unreasonable thing for them to do if they were watching you?
No. They should have done that. They're doing their job.
Yeah.
But see, we were on top of that already. So the same way cops have eyes, we have eyes on here.
Yeah.
I say we have many more eyes than they have probably.
How do the cops treat the junkies?
Huh. Like shit, like trash, to tell you the truth. If this camera was around, we'd been tossed to the car.
Hey, he's asking you a question. Any more needles in there, man?
Did you have a needle in your pocket?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Isn't that dangerous for a cop when he frisks you?
Yeah, that's why I make sure that I tell them before they go in my pockets. I make sure I tell them every sharp object inside, you know, that I'm holding first. It's a long war between drugs and police.
I try to tell everybody that works for me or that I talk to, there's nothing out here worth getting hurt for. My mother, just like I'm sure everybody else's mom, she worries each and every day. If she hears anything happen to any kind of police officer anywhere, she's ringing my phone. I heard something happened to. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't you, you know.
And your fiance?
She takes the mindset where she can't worry about it all the time because it would drive her crazy. So she tries not to worry about it. I left my gloves in my car. We taking my car, right?
Yes.
We see each other, you know, not as much as we would like to, just because of our schedules. But we manage to work it out.
You wearing that jacket?
If we're off the same day or we're working the same shift like we were this whole week, then we make sure we get out and see a movie. We make sure that we do. Anybody here got a training? He might be working for the guys down here, so he'll go down there and tell them, yo, guys, we got 5-0 down the corner, and these guys will be none the wiser. What he'll do, too, is ride around a few block radius now to see if he sees the marked units. The people out here, they know that if a kid is underneath a certain age, which is for us 10, that we want to arrest them for drugs. So they'll have, little kids, not far from babies, running drugs from here to there, and that's sickening. Somebody manipulating them like that. You see the young kids and, you try to talk to them, or you see them doing something that they need not be doing, like associating on the corner with the hoodlums, and you talk to them, tell them that's not the way to go, and that's not how to be. Some of them you think you're getting through to. One morning we were telling this kid named Sadiq, hey man, you better watch yourself. You're doing this. You're a good kid. You're smart. You keep doing this, something gonna happen to you. You end up dead, man. And later on that day, almost like we were prophets. Get a radio call. Sadiq just shot in the head 2 blocks from where we were telling them, you better watch out. We got them pulling up, but they leery of us, so they waving them off right now. The girl in the window wouldn't throw the stuff down because the band is sitting right here. She told them, what is y'all stupid? And she motioned to the van, and then that's when they all looked to the van. Guys, we're gonna relocate. We'll let you know. Just stay in the area, but we're just gonna try to relocate. I know it's somebody in there saying, we could go take that motherfucking
Yeah.
I know it's somebody contemplating.
Somebody looking out this window saying, let's go rob them, get that camera. I know it. We set up a surveillance right here on this block. We were in a car. We were parked on this side of the street further up. And basically, 2 guys came up to us. One had a shotgun, one had another handgun. They approached our vehicle. The guy with the shotgun, he wrecked the shotgun on us. We exited our vehicle. Officer Wilson took 2 shots at him, and basically they ran into the house. After they were arrested, they told the detectives they knew we were cops, and they wanted to get us off the block,
That's what I mean when I say people, when they got no regards for the cops, when they know you're the police anyway. Then the guy with the shotgun is racking the shotgun. I'm walking up to him saying, what the fuck you want? Did you happen to get this little girl on the bike? She got on a Got Weed shirt instead of Got Milk. It's Got Weed. I don't know that this hardens you or whether it desensitizes you, but it definitely changes your views about many different things. Ever since I can remember, I wanted to be a police officer. I wanted to be a few things, professional football player or some type of professional athlete or a computer programmer. And a police officer was one of the more attainable goals for me. Some of the older people that I grew up around, they're proud of you, Some of the guys my same age, depending on who they were and what they were into, looked down on it. You went and joined the other side.
1669.
How many is Matt? Can I get $10 back, please?
10?
Yes, please.
26.69.
There you go, man. Ryan, come on. Come on. Yes, I gotta get you. Come on. I know. Yeah, I thought you. I heard you. Whew. Yeah. We got to change you again. Let me brush them first. Let me get the top ones. Let me get the top ones. Let me get the top one. Oh boy. Now you do the rest. I'm like working day work or something, and I know my little man's gonna be woke when I get in. I'll rush home. There we go. Sit down. But if I'm working, let's say 4 to 12, and I know when I get home anyway, he's gonna be asleep. You know, not that I don't rush home to his mother, but the urgency's not there if I know he's gonna be asleep.
A lot of times it'll make me grateful. Like, you know, I'll see a sickly child, and you know, I'm glad, you know, Brandon's healthy. Or I'll see a child that's mistreated, and I'll thank the Lord that Brandon's not. Or I see a mother, you know, doing something to her child, or you know, she has done something to her child, and I thank the Lord that I don't have to worry about stuff like that. So say hi. You're not talking to mommy? Say hi. That's mommy. Say hi to mommy. What are you doing? You showing on. A lot of different things that make me think about him and or his mother, and just I'm just pleased a lot of times that I don't have to deal with a lot of the stuff that I see other people dealing with. Say hi, it's mommy. Baby.
People often ask me, you know, well, weren't you afraid when you did this, or weren't you afraid when you got to a shoot? Most of the time I tell them, you don't have time to be scared because everything happens so fast, you normally just react. But I guess that's not totally true. Sometimes you do have time to be afraid. What weapons you want to use? I guess how you react to the fear is...
we can use automatics.
What could potentially be the problem.
Get out of here.
Coward. You're a big coward, man. Your city has choppers, right? Yeah. I plan on going up with the Department's aviation unit. I was paranoid about going up, you know. I don't know if it's a fear of heights. I think it's mainly more a fear of crashing than anything. If I can catch a train or a bus or drive, that's what I do.
Have you ever been up in an airplane or helicopter?
No, that'll be the first time. But we'll see how it goes.
Saí de casa namorando a lua, dona da beleza desse meu lugar, onde a natureza fez o seu encanto, nessa terra boa quero chamegar. Mandei botar pimenta na moqueca, puxa nesse pole que de noite eu vou, dessa forró na praia de Itaúnas, remexer nas dunas com o meu amor. Ai neném, eu gosto do tempero que a morena tem. Ai neném, eu gosto do tempero.
É o companheiro que trabalha no dia a dia. Dependemos dele, entregamos nossa vida a ele e ele entrega a sua vida a nós também. Um depende do outro, como dois irmãos. Um depende do outro.
Atenção!
Smile, yeah?
Oh, very! Skin, sério!
Bom, é uma família só, todos apoiam a atitude de cada um. Família grande, onde você chega é bem recebido, independente se você conhece ou não a outra pessoa. Estando fardado é tudo irmão.
Apresentar! Arma! Direita! Ó, veri! O trabalho com o policial militar não é a mesma coisa de criar um laço de amizade com pessoas civis. Sem alteração? Tá ok, gente. Até mais. Nós criamos aquele laço de amizade profundo onde um tá servindo de segurança pro outro. Sem alteração, Augusto, aí? Tá tudo calmo, né? Bom. Então, qualquer ocorrência que tiver, a preocupação é um proteger a vida do outro. O Gondim, trabalhando comigo, há uma preocupação mútua, porque eu não quero que aconteça nada com ele. E, da mesma forma, ele também não quer que aconteça nada comigo. Então, nós trabalhamos unidos, temos que ser assim, unidos. Nós passamos quase que um mês ou dois sem tirar serviço. Ele sempre perguntava, Tenente, a senhora não quer mais tirar serviço comigo, não? Eu disse, não, a culpa não é minha, a culpa é da escala. O meu motorista, o soldado Cordeiro, uma pessoa de estatura alta, ele era bem forte, moreno. E sempre que eu estava em serviço com ele, ele me levava para merendar na casa da mãe dele. E eu saí de lá já estava com algum tempo. Eu estava de serviço aqui na companhia, na área, e eu me encontrei com ele num parque. E ele, Tenente, como é que a senhora tá? Tava ele e a noiva dele. E perguntou como é que eu estava, se estava gostando de estar trabalhando lá, aqui na companhia. E falei que sim. E poucos dias depois eu soube da notícia do falecimento dele. Foi morto degolado.
Tá de blusa preta? Olha lá, ficou sozinha lá. Vão roubar ela. Mas ela ficou sozinha.
Tenho conhecimento de muitos policiais que perderam a vida. Bora. Gondim, olha aqui.
Roberto, volta lá no carro.
Nós tivemos uma favela e os policiais prenderam um rapaz. Muita gente veio para cima da polícia para querer tomar o preso. Passou alguém para cá? A família se revoltou contra a polícia militar e tentou tomar o preso e veio bater na gente. Eu tive que pedir mais emergência. Cadê o Gondim?
Vou pra viatura.
A todo tipo e qualquer ocorrência, nós somos chamados.
O que foi que houve? É só não me mataram porque...
Cadê? E foram pra onde?
Não vi não. Agora eu estava deitado, só eu e meu filho. Levaram até os lençóis.
Ou se é parto para atender a uma mulher que está para ter um filho, levamos ao hospital. Ou se é briga de casal. nós estamos sempre prontos a atender.
Eu estou aqui adquirido aqui há 4 meses.
Porque essa mesma coisa do presídio, vamos pensar que é eu. Aí eu vou dar uma minha procura. Não é por culpa da polícia da minha irmã mesmo. É, porque uma está no presídio e quer ver a outra. Porque quando eu sair daqui, eu vou quebrar a cara dela. Pode filmar.
Deu 2 nomes, um nome falso e depois deu um nome verdadeiro.
Deu nome falso e depois o nome verdadeiro. Viciado tu? É viciado?
Eu sou.
Maconha, o que mais?
Só.
Só maconha. Ele foi pego agora ali nas proximidades de uma cabine policial. Ele responde 2 tráficos e um consumo de maconha.
Não, 2, 16 e um 12.
2 consumos e um tráfico. Então, alguns casos que houve agora, recentes, de policiais que vieram a matar devido a uma ocorrência qualquer e que a imprensa, a mídia, caiu em cima. Então, o público fica com aquela imagem de que o policial é perigoso. Adianta.
Esse posto aí é da...
É da prefeitura.
Positivo, quer dizer que o indivíduo entrou só lateralmente e levou esse material já citado, é isso?
O elemento entrou no consultório dela, pegou a bolsa dela e saiu, entendeu? Todo mundo reconheceu a pessoa. Ninguém falasse nada porque ele saía papocando todo mundo. Ainda disse isso.
Ela entrou e ela
a
devia estar
bolsa
aqui com a bolsa aqui, né? Aí foi fácil dele pegar a bolsa.
Esse indivíduo aí mora próximo, não é isso?
Obrigada, senhora. Bora, Gandinho. Bem próximo, aqui o posto de saúde. Okay? Qual a idade dele? 18. Tem costume já de fazer isso, hein? Tem, né? Que ele cheira droga. Cheira cola. Já teve aonde? São Miguel? Quando era mais novo. Passou quanto tempo lá? Por que ele foi preso? Roubo também. Mão armado? Ele anda armado?
Não, a última vez que ele foi preso foi com uma pedra.
Pedra?
Lá, doutora disse.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. MVP está de volta tentando conscientizar vocês, parando para pensar, botando a cabeça no lugar, pedindo a Deus pra nos ajudar. Sem armas, unidos, sem violência entre nós.
Justamente as minhas caras que o cara tinha dado lá, rapaz, ficava alto, magro, camisa branca, bermuda preta. E ele disse que o revólver dele era desse jeito aqui. Branco.
O que a gente contou de cara de blusa branca aí.
Eu vou uns becozinhos aqui desse lado aqui, onde ele vinha, essa rua aí.
Boa noite, pessoal. Mão na cabeça. De pé, de costas, mão na cabeça, bora.
Gondinho. Aqui.
Vai em pé e bora. Vai, bora. Todo mundo em pé, bora. Bora, bora, bora.
Ok? Por informações de populares, nós tivemos a informação que ele havia descido para a beira da praia. Um elemento armado a revólver e o soldado Gondinho, o soldado Gadelho foram em busca. O elemento o avistou e saiu em desabar lá do carro. Mas nós não tivemos sucesso porque ele conseguiu evadir-se do local. Mão na parede, viu? O que é isso aí na tua mão? Uma vez eu descer para abordar, eu fico observando como é que vocês abordam. E você não está abordando certo, não. Tem que ter mais cuidado, tem que ter mais cautela. Eu sei que não tem nada, entendeu? Eu sei que não tem nada, mas mesmo assim você não deve confiar, não.
Que morreu com uma negócio.
Exatamente. Pensava que o menor era magro velho, não tinha nada e tava com... Pois é.
Aí a Suzana ia dizer assim...
Ai, meu Deus.
O único problema que eu tinha na minha vida, não tenho mais.
Ah, velho. Realmente eu ia concordar com ela. E como eu trabalho diretamente com soldados, são meus motoristas, viaturas, carro de polícia. Aqui na primeira companhia eu tive o Gondim como um motorista. Eu incentivei bastante para que ele estudasse, para que ele desse continuidade na vida dele profissional, que ele levasse adiante. Procurasse buscar conhecimentos. O curso que eu fiz na academia foram 3 anos internos. Então, isso me afastou dos meus amigos e amigas mais próximas. Tive que perder eventos comemorativos durante a família também, porque estava empregada, empenhada nesse curso. Eu estou coronel também, foi meu instrutor. Tia! Vim fazer uma filmagem, vai sair nos Estados Unidos, a senhora.
Nossa, nos Estados Unidos?
É, nos Estados Unidos.
Chique, deixa eu tirar menos esse óculos escuro, menina vai ficar mais reconhecida.
Aí eu disse pra ele que aqui era a tia que todos os alunos adoravam. Tudo bom, tia? Então, abdiquei de muitas coisas, mas não me arrependo de nenhuma delas. Maria de Fátima Vieira Becerra.
Quando soubemos que ela ia seguir a carreira militar, policial militar,
Mentiu. Ele.
houve uma certa resistência, porque a imagem que a gente tinha da polícia era de violência. Mas nos últimos anos isso se modificou. Tivemos um coronelado diferente. Por surpresa nossa, parece que ela gosta muito de ser policial. Isso é bom.
Elas são muito femininas, né? Então eu acho assim, eu sei que ela não fosse dar pra isso. Pra policial, pegar em arma, tudo, eu achei ela muito frágil, né? Ela só assim.
Magrinha.
Frágil, eu achava que não dava, né?
Dá pra entrar no terreno também.
Aqui em Fortaleza, ainda é novidade ter uma policial feminina trabalhando. E eu sou a única policial feminina que trabalho nas ruas. Eles me aceitam e eu tenho até, por eu ser mulher, eu tenho até uma facilidade de poder resolver melhor as ocorrências.
Vim da polícia.
Gondim, né? Quando um policial quer falar pessoalmente com outro policial, eles usam o termo, quero falar com você bigode a bigode.
Não.
E um policial entrou pelo rádio, na frequência, e queria falar comigo bigode a batom. Não existe essa expressão. Só que ele não quis dizer bigode porque eu era mulher, não tenho bigode. Aí foi na frequência e foi engraçado.
Mente Fátima é a primeira policial feminina que eu trabalhei.
Essa aqui é a nossa pistola, 1.40. Marca Taurus.
Na ocorrência com a Tenente Fátima é diferente.
Esse aqui é o nosso revólver, 7 tiros.
Ao chegar nas ocorrências, ela não é de bater, ela não chega agredindo ninguém.
Nós temos aqui também a 12, escopeta.
É muito calma.
Pronto, obrigado aí.
Ela escuta muito o seu subordinado.
A arma que eu tenho, eu ganhei do meu pai. É uma responsabilidade muito grande que eu tenho, e eu sempre procuro saber onde é que eu deixei, onde é que ela está, onde é que eu guardei, para evitar algum acidente. Eu estou morando com meu pai. E a minha mãe deixa um vazio muito grande na minha casa. Nós estamos conseguindo superar a falta que ela deixou. A minha mãe, ela teve uma doença, um câncer. Ela faleceu no dia 13 de dezembro. E tá com 4 meses que nós perdemos minha mãe. I love muito.
Ela nunca contou pra ninguém, não. Aos poucos que todo mundo foi sabendo que a mãe dela estava muito doente, precisava se internar, ela estava precisando ser dispensa de serviço. Mas ela nunca chegou a comentar nada, não. Só andava muito triste, preocupada. Sempre ligava diariamente para casa dela para saber como é que estava a situação da mãe dela.
É porque eu estou meio ruim do estômago.
Aí a mãe dela veio a falecer por esse motivo e ela teve que tirar férias porque ela não tinha condições psicológicas de trabalhar.
Temos policiais que estão com 5, 6 anos de serviço direto sem tirar férias, porque o nosso efetivo é pouco e nós não temos condições de dar férias a todo mundo.
Mário.
Porque muitos deles ficam estressados e às vezes têm até dificuldade no trabalho devido ao estresse. O que eu mudaria na polícia seria um melhor atendimento, um aumento de salário. A de um soldado, o salário dele é na faixa de 450. Eu particularmente, eu acho pouco esse salário, porque o policial que é casado e que tem filhos, ele só com o dinheiro da polícia, ele não tem condições de sobreviver. A corrupção existe em todas as profissões. Em todas as profissões você encontra os bons elementos e os maus elementos. Eu acredito que o policial, por ele ser mal remunerado, eu acredito que essa é uma das grandes influências que ele possa vir a ter de ser um mau elemento na polícia militar. Tem alteração lá.
Última forma, parou de estudo com
Tá bom.
Pereira Filgueiras,
Obrigada.
aqui próximo ao CEO.
Ok.
Então foi assim.
Gondim, hoje eu recebi um telefonema do capitão Amaral, dizendo que eu vou ser transferida nesses 3 dias lá. Vou sair da companhia, vou pro presídio. Não sei se é bom, se é ruim. Não sei pro lugar onde eu vou, com o que eu vou trabalhar. Mas vai fazer falta minha viaturazinha.
A senhora tá gostando da ideia?
Não, eu acho que o presídio é um lugar muito perigoso se trabalhar, e mesmo porque é muito distante da minha casa.
Nós temos rebelião de presos, né? Eles tentam fugir. Quando eles tentam fugir, aí ele pega alguém de refém, né? E faz a rebelião, tentando a fuga, né? Vez por outras tem êxito ele, mas a maioria das vezes é frustrada.
A senhora não queria ser transferida?
Eu gosto muito da companhia, entende? Você sabe disso, você trabalha comigo. Gosto muito da companhia. Mas eu tenho que dar continuidade aos meus estudos, porque eu trabalhando na companhia não tenho condições, por causa do serviço que eu tiro à noite.
E na CPG lá, no presídio, você vai tirar de oficial de dia?
Uma vez por semana. Todas as noites eu vou estar livre, dá para me fazer o curso. E estudar e ver se consigo realizar o meu sonho de ser advogada. Vai fazer muita falta.
Se a senhora for pro presídio, também vou pro presídio, arranjar uma transferência.
Pra lá?
Também.
Mas não é fácil não, é meio complicado. Nós, policiais militares, não podemos nos apegar ao local onde nós trabalhamos, porque a qualquer momento nós podemos ser transferidos para um outro local. Primeira cia, boa tarde. Hello, oi, Gondim. Que eu recebi a notícia hoje que eu fui falar com Peixe, né? E quando eu cheguei lá, recebi a notícia de que eu não iria mais para o presídio, e sim lá para a academia. Mas eu saí de lá explodindo, sabe? Que é explodindo, assim, sabe? Eu tava uma chuva que eu não enxergava nada. Nesse carro, eu não queria nem saber. Eu ligando o celular e dirigindo sem enxergar. Foi uma confusão danada. Eu cheguei aqui, contei pro colo, liguei pro meu pai, liguei pro meu tio, liguei pra minha avó. Lá vou ser instrutora, vou ser tudo que eu queria ser. Porque antes de eu ser polícia, eu era professora. Pois é, voltar e tá no militarismo, entendeu? Tá trabalhando com os alunos. Tudo. Faça um presente assim de Deus, entendeu? Minha mãe. E foi uma coisa que eu prometi para ela, que eu iria me formar em advogado. Acho que onde ela está, ela vai ficar bastante feliz,
Kenapa nggak pakai helm? Hah? Sakit kenapa? Ada SIM-nya nggak? Ya turun. Topinya sakit, kamu harusnya kan pakai helm bukan pakai topi, ya. Topinya masukkan di tas, ini helmnya dipakai gitu loh. Ya. Turun. Kerja di mana? Training apa kerja?
Baru mau tes.
Baru mau tes kamu udah melanggar. Di mana tes?
Di Sayan, di Seraton.
Seraton. Lagun?
Sayan.
Dengan apa? Pakai yang bagus gitu. Ya, malu dilihat sama tamu. Kamu calon pengabdi pariwisata di sini, kalau masyarakatnya tidak disiplin kan tamunya nggak suka di sini. Ya. Oh, itu kan bagus. Ya. Strawberry, durian. Oh itu enggak. Terus coklat.
How do you feel working in the most beautiful place in the world? I mean, this is
very happy.
Yeah.
Happy.
Dalam kesanganya lusan dikala bulane menggang didurin ambune galang obor prakpak nyinarin gumi buyut surya tetabuhan gambalan balaganjur saling ceburin kantan kala kali seungkon Bali Nyina yang rupa ogah-ogah mecaling rengga Ada aneh merupa menu semua raksasa Ogah-ogah ogoh-ogoh kala kali lumambah Ogah-ogah
This we call this ogoh-ogoh, yeah. Before we have Hindu New Year, we make a party with ogoh-ogoh, like carnival. My name is Sergeant Panca. Yeah. This is the Nusa Dua area, yeah. This is my area. We are police in Nusa Dua. This is Nusa Dua. This is the gate, yeah. Main gate to Nusa Dua area. We have 9 5-star hotel in this area. When we have patrol, yeah, we come to the hotel and then check situation and security. How about the situation of the hotel? No problem?
No problem. Good.
How many percent tourists? The occupancy?
50 maybe.
50%. Where are you from? Italiano. Come stai? Bene. Sì.
Bene a Bali.
Bene in Bali.
40%. Datang grup. Ada down.
We went on an elephant safari.
Elephant park in Ubud, yeah?
In Ubud.
The tourist in Nusa Dua is very important place. What can I do for you? Maybe I can help you.
The shopping center.
Shopping center. We have 2 shopping center in Nusa Dua area or outside the area. Beach? You want beach?
Beach.
What beach you want? Water sport or we have Tragia up there,
Yeah.
the big one, and then Tragia up there inside Galleria.
Galleria. Which is
Yeah.
nearest?
Nearest is Galleria.
Sole.
Swim, sun. Very good. Gagar Beach.
Gagar Beach.
Yeah.
Good.
Cafe. Sun Beach. Masih aman?
Aman, Pak.
Berapa persen?
70%, Pak.
70%.
Ya. Kan ada jatamu?
Enggak, dia polisi New York Police.
Kontrol hotel-hotel.
Iya. Ingin tahu gimana kerjanya polisi di Indonesia. Ya. Balinese people can live with tourism. No tourism it's very bad in Bali.
Nggak panas dan jam segini. Siang-siang gitu. Terus kalau sudah
sengaja nyari panas ke sini deh. Di rumahnya kan ada panas, sengaja nyari panas.
akan merapat 2 orang lagi perempuan.
Kalau mobil nih gardannya ada bunyi krek.
How much are the hotels here?
In Nusa Dua, about $150 US dollars for one night. Where are you from?
Texas?
Texas?
And we're here for 5 nights.
5 nights. Dekat
Came a
dengan.
long way.
Yeah, my salary not enough for one day in the hotel.
Oh
Yeah. This is my friend from New York.
From where?
Police in New York.
Is that right? Yeah. How you doing?
My 1 month salary.
1 month salary, not enough for one night in the hotel in Nusa Dua.
I was in New York before.
Yeah?
Many times I went to America.
Oh.
Very beautiful country too. Very big.
Big.
In Bali, from here to
4
hours.
How much do you make in one day in U.S. dollars?
It's
About $2.
$2, yeah.
About $2.
Government give rice, yeah. And a house, yeah. Police house. We stay together in this area. My best day when I finish in the police training and I have a sergeant. I started in the police 1987 and then we moved to Nusa Dua area. And I live here in police house about already 8 years. 8 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know what is police house.
Yeah.
In Nusa Dua.
Like
The community, yeah?
Yeah, community. Like condominium, yeah. One area. Only police stay there. Police and family. My wife, she has job in Selatan Lagun in Nusa Dua. This my wife actually. Employer of the month and the best employer of the year.
Masuk film deh. MTV.
Dulu kan dia. I'm married on 99, yeah. No, 89. Yeah, 2 years I'm finished in police service and then I married because I have agreement with the government. Before 2 years I can marry.
Really?
Yeah, really. And we have excellent certificate when I joined undercover.
How is undercover? Good, yeah?
Yeah, good. What sometimes dangerous for me. My first son, his name is Ari. He's third class in elementary school. And his second called Dwi. He's the first class in elementary school. My son live in village with grandmother, with my mother, yeah. Because we just have one room here. I think it's good for the son, yeah, sit together with us.
Do you want to see your son every day, or?
The first year, I want to see every day, but already 3 years, I think no problem.
Does your family worry about you? Does your wife say to be police is dangerous?
Yeah. When I'm in undercover, yeah, she's always afraid, yeah. In undercover, I'm not in a home, yeah. Yeah, sometimes I 2 weeks or 1 week in Java, and then back again to Bali. It's difficult for make program with family. Always go. I think a week or 2 weeks I have rest in the home about 1 day, not more than 2 days. Always on call. I must phone to my wife. And I say I'm okay, don't worry.
How long were you undercover?
About 4 years, I think. 4 years. So I have long hair, earring, yeah.
I mean, you don't have to answer this question if you don't want to, but do you ever have to shoot anybody?
I have one shoot the leg. He like recidivist, yeah. Recidivist.
Recidivist.
Yeah.
Recidivist.
Yeah, recidivist. Yeah. Chicken motorbike about 25 and more. Yeah. He broken the leg. Oh no, I don't tell her, but she's always afraid about me. When I'm in undercover, yeah, a good experience for me.
And
yeah.
now, do you feel like doing it more or no?
I think enough, yeah. Too old for me, yeah. I think now in police, I think it's good for me.
You want to take a picture, baby?
Yeah, why not?
Sure. See? 1, 2.
Perfect.
Where you from, sir?
I'm from Morocco.
Morocco.
But I live in Switzerland.
Yes. Going to Mecca? You're not going to Mecca?
Mecca? Maybe when I get home, not now. When I get home.
No, it's not from now. I'm Muslim too.
You're Muslim too? You've been to?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Too expensive.
My mother went 5 times.
From Indonesia too expensive.
Yeah, I pay. My mother go for me.
Next year you pay for my friend.
Okay. Why not? Why not?
Why not? Yeah, you have a friend, yeah.
Then he can reserve a place for me. After.
Yeah, of course.
Bapak Rizal Kasih, kira saya satu tempat.
I was born in Bali, but my grandfather from Java, my grandfather and all the family is Muslim.
Where do you pray? We have mosque here.
I don't pray. I don't pray. I'm not so very good Muslim. But you pray all the time?
Yeah,
always.
Yes, always, yeah?
5 times a day.
5 times.
Because
Yeah.
tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I know.
Panche is Hindu. Is Hindu. Yeah, but I can work together.
Are you a Hindu? It's a good religion too.
Thank you.
Very peaceful.
In the day, I must 5 times to pray. I just tell Panche, sorry, I break 10 minutes to pray. Panche says, please. It's no problem for me.
He understand me and I understand him. Mana? Sometimes Yahya's son come here and joke with me, playing together. Yeah, it's nice.
Ada mandi di situ.
Sometimes I miss him. Yeah. Ya, tunggu di kantor ya. I chat with the wife. Oh, is Yahya? Oh, he sleep. Oh yeah, always sleep. Why? I joke with. Yeah. I like him.
Sekanton kali sewengkon Bali. Laip melintas tersada nganggar senjata. Lemaris kita memargi sampunang jengere peda.
Belum, Bu. Masih sekolah nih pulang makan. Bah.
Baju apa nih? Pirelli. Pak, baju apa nih?
Nggak makan.
Pak bola, yes.
Om punya. Jangan udah buka nanti. Iya.
Punya ini.
Di bawah lagi kan.
Okay, grandfather.
Kan hanya menang masalin pada kenaan. Tuh ngurusan.
My mother is send my feelings. She keep my son ya.
Pak bola.
Ya nanti tukar duit pakai yang baju sepak bola. Duit baju sepak bola. And my father, he's dead about 87. 1 month before I finished in the police training.
Ya, Bapak.
He has stroke. Of course, I've said, yeah. Because about 2 months, I have not seen my father. Hey, duit. He always send me later, yeah, and I send later. Next week before he died, I have holiday and I will hear in the home, yeah. But I have bad news 1 week before holiday.
Ya, gitu.
Dah.
Dah. Duit.
Yeah. My brother come to the police school and then give me bad news here. I have 1 day off. 1 day off, and then my instructor company may come to my home, yeah. And then he has donation from the old friend in the police school, yeah. When finish funeral, I'm back to police school again. Dah. Lo lihat. Dah.
What is your dream?
The rich man. Rich man, of course. Every people want rich man. Come on. Have one house, even a small house. A kid family, and then I can take my son to school until finish school. Yeah, what he want. If I have money, I will go to Makkah. If I have money, I will go there. Maybe America, because my brother job there, my young brother. I can visiting him, yeah. But I think impossible, yeah.
Come on, everybody looks at you.
Mulutmu saya gitu, mulutmu tawain kamu. But who knows, yeah. Maybe tomorrow. Hello, how are you?
We're here at the place of worship in the station. Yeah. We're heading for Fatima, I suppose, in the next 10-15 minutes. Grand, not a bother. Good, good. Oh yeah, 15 years in the job today, 30th of May. Just when I looked at my notebook, writing down the date, the 30th of May, so I'm 15 years in the force today, so I'd forgotten about that until I just wrote it down. We're sticking back out. Is there any lorries trying to get past you there? I'm telling you to park it properly, okay, when you're unloading, okay, in the future. Okay?
I'm not going to argue with you.
How are you, Derek? How are things?
Not too bad.
Yeah. All quiet around anyway, yeah?
It is great.
Yeah, good. All right, talk to you later, right? How are you eating? How are you keeping? How are things with you? Yeah.
Last night there was a long black van and something went on. I told Paddy,
Okay.
so Paddy probably have to watch out now.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay, cheers. How are you keeping?
Where you go?
Oh, way uptown. Yeah, okay. Oh, I know where to go. Okay? See ya. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Cecil! It's me, yeah? I'm just passing. Are you okay? How are you keeping anyway?
Well, fucking stiff, very stiff today.
Yeah.
We'll go home.
Yeah. How about the home help? Do you consider it anymore, no?
I said, well, no use. They only come for you an hour in the morning.
Yeah, but you're better
Clean
than
out
nothing.
your fireplace, do a bit of dust and make a cup of tea.
Yeah.
But I mean, geez, they don't do it for your floor.
Yeah. Well, maybe if you got on their good side, you would just say, no, I got to do it. Like. Going up by Walsh's now, I'll call in anyway to Mrs. Walsh, right?
Thank you very much.
Yeah. You're okay there anyway?
Yeah, I'm
All right. I'll talk to you in another couple of days, right? Okay, Cecil. Cheers.
Did that fella ever was he ever sentenced?
He's still for trial.
Is he?
on something else at the moment, okay? Yeah, there was a few other things. There was a petrol station.
And he's still not loose?
He could be in custody now on something else at the moment. So I'll see you anyway, okay? Take care, bye, bye. Where are you staying now?
In a friend of mine.
All right. You eating okay and all that, yeah?
Ah, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, see you around, Andy, right? Good luck.
Vincent's the community police officer around here. Fatima Mansions, it's like people go down to the corporation and say they're homeless, right? So you have to wait then a few months and they get you a flat in here. The junkies are here. The families are here. And Vincent's here. It's the way it is, you know what I mean? Vincent's always here.
Well, I identify with a lot of people here. I mean, I suppose 95% of people in here are very decent. Through no fault of their own, they found themselves in Fatima Mansions. Ladies, how's it going?
No, the grotto.
Oh, thanks. The grotto, is it?
Yeah.
It's quite later, I might give you a hand. Will I get a white suit like that? All right. A lot of people grew up here and they're quite happy to stay here and live here if the place was a lot better than it is. Because it is a very close-knit area around here. Who? Who? I don't see anyone.
Everything, you name it, goes on in these flats. Rob cars, prostitution, drugs, they sell the coke, the heroin, the hash, the years, everything. Needles everywhere, right? On the top of the stairs, every night there's needles, right? People using that gear on the stairs and all, where there's kids coming down and all, and he's trying to prevent that, but he can't. There's fucking too many of us. So it's a tough job for him.
They asked for the corporation to put up gates. It actually stops the drug addicts actually getting up on the stairs up there. Drug addicts, if they did get heroin around here during the night, they'd probably use these stairs to inject. Normally you could find syringes and caps off syringes, swabs, blood, human excrement and vomit, all in that order. It's clean today. There's so many ways in and out of here that geographically, from our point of view, it's very hard to actually keep them out of here. I don't think there's any drug addict goes home to bed any night and says, the Gardaí were too clever for me today, I didn't get my fix. I think they all managed to score somewhere that day, and it just matters how they raise the funds to get the money for the drugs, whether or not they commit crime.
Just tries to sort the place out, keep the drugs out and stuff like that. And he deals with people's problems, like if arguments or something breaks out between families, like he tries and sort them out or something. That's what Vincent's role is, really. To get to know people. Like if someone walked in now, a junkie walked in now, we'd know who they are and what they're up to, you know what I mean? That's his job. And he'd know if they're up to no good or whatever.
So Carl, what are you doing in there? Knowing your clients, knowing the criminals, very important. You don't want that child in there, Jason, because if you can put a name on a face, the large, they won't really cause you too much grief. And even if they do, at least you know who they are. And we can always, if we don't arrest somebody on the spot, we can always kind of get them again, type of thing. So, yeah, not too impressed with you having a child in there.
there's a guy working with me who lives in the flats, and he has noted in the last number of weeks all the times that he has seen drug dealing going on and no Gardaí around the place. Right? That's not getting away from the point of the positive things that you said, Vinny.
As I say, the manpower is out of my hands really, but I think we've kept a certain presence around the flats, especially in the daytime. It's been intermittent, there's been other pressures. Unfortunately, the tourist beats have started up again in the Kevin Street area. And the tourist beats, I won't say they're taking priority, but they do take manpower away a bit. There's boulders here. The boulders are placed in any access points to the grassy areas to stop stolen cars going in onto the grass. So I can report back your concerns about manpower, but nothing I can say. I can't give any commitment about manpower, and you might appreciate that.
The guards are here constantly around here, and they are, I have to admit, they are around here, but the drug deals are going on. There was a guard, a female guard and a male guard down there one day. There's a drug deal going on there, and they had their backs turned. When I saw them, I went to point to it.
Right. You want to answer your phone, or you want to tell me about the drug deal?
So they turned this off.
Yeah. Which, 2 males and a female?
2 males and a female, and they headed out that way.
On St. Anthony's Road. Fair enough. I'll pass it on to my colleagues. Thanks very much. You can't describe them any better, though.
I can't. No, but
height,
unfortunately,
age.
They're about the age would be about my age.
Right.
They'd be under 20. Or sorry, not under 20, between 20 and 25, 26.
Right.
The height was, one was about my height, one was slightly taller, about 2 or 3 inches. And there was a female, and she was about 5'6".
Fine. If you see them around again, you might ring 999 as well, okay? Thank you. 917 units around Fathom Mansions, Dolphins Burn. Keep a lookout for 2 males and a female, described as having just taken part in a drug transaction around Harrowville Avenue. The description is very vague. 2 males, one taller than the other, and a female. They may have gone up St. Anthony's Road. A call came in from an irate potential local representative. Over. It happened somewhere up near, he lives on Harrowville Avenue. He said it went up St. Anthony's Road. I haven't seen anything like that around, but you might just keep an eye out. Howard Hanks. What's the name again?
Raymond.
Raymond what? Raymond. You know you're not allowed down here, don't you?
No, I'm only going in for the breakfast and bollocks.
The guard can't do very much about it. All he can do is move the junkies on. But as soon as he moves them off this way, more come in this way, do you know what I mean?
You're loitering under the public order right now, eh?
Ah, no, I'm not.
So you take my advice now, it's 20 to 4.
I'm leaving now.
You've less than 5 minutes as we speak, all right?
No problem. Yeah.
Bye now. Hi Gavin, how's it going? All right? Huh? New shoes, are they? Yeah? Bye now.
He knows who's what. He knows all the faces in here. Who comes in, who doesn't live here, the whole lot. I mean, the rest of the Gardaí, they just stand over there, just have a smoke.
They stand in the safe spots where they
and
know.
have a little.
They stand in the safe spots. Well, we'll stand here, we know what's going on over there, but he goes into it and he gets beaten up for it. You know what I mean? And he's been beaten up for it.
We seem to be, apart from ourselves in the UK, we're the only 2 unarmed police forces, which I hope will continue. You sit beside me, put on your socks. Kitchen for breakfast, girls.
Kitchen.
You want honey lips, Kira?
Yes, please.
Uh-oh.
What?
Uh-oh.
What?
We just bought enough for 2 little girls.
Mommy bought a new packet.
Did you? All right. Well, there's other jobs where families worry about their loved ones, you know, prison officers, firemen, the army. It can be dangerous, but I mean, at the end of the day, everybody just goes to work and wants to go home in the evening. I was attacked in here a couple of years ago, but the people behind me, the blocks behind me, came to my assistance when I caught a guy with heroin. He'd been just dealing, so it's something I don't really talk about too much. But that was probably the worst day potentially for me, that it was a serious threat to my physical well-being.
I mean, most people that seen it, like, they were even afraid to go in and help him.
I was
don't know
actually
what
there
happened.
the day when that happened to Vincent. It happened last year, and what happened was he was chasing after a drug pusher, and the drug pusher Vincent wasn't giving up. Vincent got a hold of the drug pusher, and the drug pusher was exchanging punches, and Vincent was trying to arrest him and handcuff him, and only for a man that lived in the corner over there, seeing what happened, and ran out of the house and helped Vincent.
Once I heard the radio acknowledging my call, I knew that it was just a matter of hanging on until somebody got here. So the local residents came out to my assistance before the Gardaí, my colleagues got here. I was kind of gratified about that. I felt that I was doing something right anyway. People felt that they had to come to my assistance. So that was probably the worst day, but in a way it was probably the best day as well.
I think he should be given a better community because he deserves it. You know what I mean? He deserves a better community to walk in where he can, you know, doesn't have to put up with that every day of his life. And a pay rise, you can give him that as well, you know? He deserves a lot. I mean, fair play to him.
It's called a 20-pound bag of heroin. I know it's rather small, but it's so easy to get. Even though the Gardaí is in here, it can still be got. Even if there's 10 Gardaí in here, it can still be got. It's I mean, the guards can't be all in the place at the same time when it's all being done, like, you know. But that's what goes on underneath the guard's nose. Brady is standing over there now. Vincent was only no more than 100 yards away from me, and I was able to get it, like, you know. But he can't be watching everybody. It's not his fault. I mean, Vincent can't be Superman. He can't be here and there and everywhere, like, you know. If a guard walks up to me, all I have to do is just... There you go, I can't take it out of my mouth. Right. Search me. He hasn't got the authority to tell me to open my mouth. If I do open my mouth, I can't say it. And if I really think he's going to come on top, I'll swallow it. And I'll just go back around the corner and puke her up. That's how they can't catch them. But that's how it is anyway. But I'm going up now to wrap her up and get the phone call that I have it.
Okay.
And he'd be happy.
Yeah.
Okay, boys.
See you later. They see us coming, they swallow it. They carry up their nose as well. They'd hide it anywhere, and the females the same will hide it anywhere they can actually, anywhere you can think of they could hide it. That's where they'll hide it.
The meetings have just a deja vu sense about them. That's a sure sign that we're not moving on.
I think we do need to look at the young people and try and get something to evolve at policing forum level to try and address the problems. Now, I'd like to see, along with Vincent, these community, or these juvenile liaison people. Maybe I'm a bit vague on what I'm trying to say, but I think we do need to look at the young people.
I told you if you were evicted 2 weeks ago, you can't hang around here every day, didn't I?
I don't hang around here every day.
You were here last night.
I was here last night.
Yes, because I saw you coming out of here last night, roaring at your kids. Going up Reuben Street, didn't I?
Oh yeah, it was up my sister's.
Yeah.
Yeah, we reconciled.
Where's your kids now?
Over in the disco.
Oh, in the disco. Where are you staying now?
What?
Where are you staying now?
I'm just sitting here on the grass. I'm not.
Oh, I appreciate it. I know, I can see that.
The kids, they have no future in here at all, they don't. Not at all. Because they're just looking at people and what they're doing, selling, banging, using. They're getting into their heads.
Dan, you take the far stairs here. Run down there, I'm going up the side.
Yeah, I think it's the second balcony, so
Mr. Cooney, good sort of mate. You were there, huh? Mr. Carney, Mr. Doyle, all likely culprits, huh? No? What are you doing on the stairs anyway? You're not living here, are you? Get over to your own block. Come on. I know, you live over in A block, come on. Right? Get down. Get down off the stairs and behave yourselves. Come on.
Come on.
Get down and behave yourselves off the stairs.
Good.
Did you hear what I said? Get down the stairs in front of me. Get down. Come on, Thomas. Right?
There's bleeding. There's a 12-year-old over there with HIV, do you know what I mean? Now that's not wrong, do you know what I mean? And his mother and father, they don't give a shit, do you know what I mean? They're the ones giving him the gear.
Go on, head off out of here. Go on. Out this way and turn right, okay? Come on. You don't hang around here, good. What do? What are you doing today? Are you painting? Put painting in here, is that? Yeah? Painting, yeah?
But when the guard is standing here, the kids can play, they can do what they want. Junkies will go over there to get their drugs while the kids can play here. It's just a big circle, do you understand? It's crazy.
I don't know sometimes, it's just trying to get to every big city seems to have a drug problem, and anybody that thinks that Ireland is all leprechauns and shillelaghs, I mean Dublin has got a serious heroin problem and has since the early 80s.
Like, I'm a junkie, like, but here's the deal with the whole lot of us, you know what I mean, running amok.
Want to go for a spin down the station, no? Head off out of here.
I'm living with my girlfriend here 7 years and we have a kid. Her two brothers have been locked up by Vincent and his friends.
You okay, yeah?
Yeah.
No? How's the baby keeping?
It's grand.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's getting old,
Yeah?
I'm only out after finishing 3 years.
Right, talk to you later, okay?
From Vincent got me the 3 years, but it done me the world of good, do you know what I mean? Get my head together. I was mad at the time, yeah, but after that, like when you go into the prison, what can you do? You can't do very much. You just have to get on with it. Yeah, it's all right. It's an all right guard, yeah? It's not the worst. My son, I have to get my son tested, Vincent. He was playing one of my lasers and he cut himself. He had his wrecked on, he gets his blood test. I hope it doesn't come from.
How old is he?
2.5. It's fucking terrible, it is. I had his blade melted as well. I'm down in Castle Street. I'm on in Castle Street now on a methadone program. But there seem to be good down there like counsellors and like they have me in a B&B and all now. Do you know what I mean? So I'm doing pretty alright. So we're waiting on that flat, and as soon as we get a flat then we'll get a job.
Alright, yeah.
We're getting there.
Yeah. No, hopefully it works out for you anyway, right?
Slowly but surely, we're getting there.
So I know them about the last 5 years, and they're involved in quite a bit of crime that I'm aware of. It's hard to know what the future is. You know, it's they have a young child to look after as well, and I think 50% of the population here in Fatima is under 15 years of age. So unless something happens now in the next couple of years, we're breeding more problems than we're actually going to be solving, really. Hello, Shane. Enjoying yourselves? No school today? Huh? No school? Why? Didn't get up? Yeah. All right. Talk to you later, right? With an age profile that young, all the kids are really at the stage now where they're on borderline if they're going to get involved in crime. There's a lot of peer pressure to get involved in crime around here. Does Tina know you're at that? That's where all the fires are coming from somewhere around here. You, is it? Where's your matches? Have you got matches and lighters on you? Come over here and show me. Have you got a lighter on you? If you have, give it to me. You lit it? Why?
Because it was freezing. I haven't lit in the wooden.
What did you use? 2 sticks to light it, was it?
Oh. No, I haven't. Okay.
I'll have to tell your ma you were lighting fires then. I suppose seeing any child in any kind of bad situation, neglected, not being properly fed. It's something I find hard to take.
Safe from the city's ground. I'm a broken boy from a broken home. Never had a chance.
You know, the people here deserve probably better than they got over the years from politicians, the Gardaí maybe, the educational system and the local authority. If that sounds like a criticism, maybe it is, because that's the way I feel about it. There's the phone ringing. Hello? Hello, Miss Honey, how are you? Bring you home 7 strawberries, I will, yeah? Okay. Right, okay, I'll bring you home a surprise anyway, okay? Let me talk to Mummy. Judy Social Workers? Yeah, Vincent Hurricane here at Kilmainham Garda. Hi, Sinead. Somebody rang yesterday evening looking for me about something, obviously. Yeah, thank you. Most of my cases would be neglect. I have 2 cases of sexual abuse at the moment. But basically neglect, people, kids being left running all night, dirty, out all hours of the night, in bad weather, improperly clad, no shoes on their feet, not going to school, that type of thing. If we think a child is in immediate personal danger, we can't leave them in the conditions we find them in, especially if there's drug involvement and syringes left lying around, that type of thing.
Fellas are going back in towards H block now. Over.
Roger.
Tram is about to follow here and there's a good risk now it's going to bang into the window on the way down, over.
Right, Sergeant, roger. Success, well, success would be just to get it the way I'd like to have it, which would be a utopia really down here. Hello? Anyone home? Can you open the door, please, Gardaí? There's a fire up on top of you there, I just want to have a look.
What is that?
Any kids here, would you know? There's a shutter above you about to fall out, the lads thought it might break it. You can see the stuff. Okay, the fire brigade's on the way anyway, right?
I just wish the whole flats were knocked down and just put houses up. Because it's this disgrace it is. It's just a big disgrace, these flats.
I would hope now in years to come that Fatima will actually become a thing of the past, that will actually be knocked down in the coming 3 years. Right, no problem, bring your key with you there, right? Okay, grand. You're not getting any smoke in there, are you yet?
No.
You're okay?
No.
Yeah, they're on the way anyway, right? You know, it's a team effort really. I mean, everybody has to part to play down here when they're on duty down here. I enjoy the job and I couldn't see myself doing anything else. I have my little parish, as I call it. just a face, this uniform coming in, day out. I'm a name, and if that helps to make it easier to police in the future for guys to come after me, well then I'd rate that as being a success.
Thanks for having us over and showing us what your life is like here.
Well, it's been a pleasure, and it's been interesting for me too.
Its forgotten sons cry out early in the morning. Its heroes from just the night before. Banging on doors, looking for shelter. Dogs bark, teeth shine like ebony in the rising sun. The silence of a crowded city will break your heart.